last thing on Vitality is like, do you think this is just complete like speculation, random theory, but do you think there might be a difference in motivation and like desire to hit these records from Apex, for example, versus the rest of the team? Because like when we hear like, oh, we want to match Apex, like Astralis' records and stuff like that, that's usually it's Apex saying this, and I believe him 100% that he wants to do that. But for the rest of the team, I don't feel like they're all super young. They have their careers are like 5 to 10 years at least coming. But I don't feel like everyone else is on the same level he is. And maybe that's where some of the, for them, it's just another tournament. And for Apex, it's like, I want to be better than those guys that were fucking dominating me for 3 years.
They say victory belongs to 5 on stage, but it's never just 5. It's every heartbeat in the crowd. Every cheer that shakes the stage, every flick, every clutch, written together. On stage or in the crowd, we are one. Skin Club, together as one.
Ever wanted to try Refrag? Well, now you can. For the viewers of HLTV Confirmed, you can claim a 1-week free trial for the world's best CS2 training platform, letting you try out all of our features, like the Refrag Coach, which will analyze your games and give you a personalized training plan. You can also try out Challenger, an all-new game mode, which will test your retake abilities in realistic in-game scenarios. Try Refrag today for free using the link in the description.
You're a CS player and you won a major. It's not something people can take away from you,
No matter what would have happened in that tournament, I'm glad I got benched.
It's just hard, like when I look back at this image, all I see is that I failed.
When Device decided to quit the team, that was like the nail in the coffin.
Okay, this is where I want to be, this is where my place should be.
If I could trade in all the trophies to just have my father back, that would be a fair trade.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Counter-Strike fans across the globe, welcome back to another episode of HLTV Confirmed. My apologies for being a little bit late out the gates with this one. Had some technical issues. Had to change webcam, just having to make sure some screen share and stuff works. So slightly delayed out the gates, but we're here and we're brought to you, or at least live and exclusively on the platform of Kick. We're brought to you by Skin Club, Stake, as well as Refrag. So welcome back to another episode. It feels like I haven't been here for a while, gentlemen.
It's the same thing you said last time, I feel like, or was it Prof?
I don't know. I wasn't here last time.
It's been a while. It's been a while.
Well, last one you did with Devil Walk and Maui.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. It's a classic.
I'm trying to work out even when that was.
It wasn't. It was literally
pre Chengdu.
Like 10 days ago, which feels like forever. And then 7 days before that, we probably did a podcast with you. So it's been like almost 3 weeks since your last podcast.
I don't. That's the thing, right? Because what was it after
this podcast,
EPL into TWC? I haven't done one there either. They were doing one in Bucharest, right? Because I guess what ended up happening was I was traveling on one of the final days of Bucharest, and you guys were doing it. That's right. Was it after the grand final?
On the day of the grand final, yeah.
That's the one. And I was traveling on that day, which is probably some of the issues which caused we've already been there and covered that, right? With all the stuff with the PGL Bucharest event. Okay, well, at least we know where we were. Now we know where we're picking up.
How's your identity as a human being after not doing 3 podcasts a week? Like, have you found new hobbies? Are you doing knitting or something? What you've been filling up your days with?
Casting Counter-Strike, yeah, because that's the thing, right? I didn't actually stop just because I wasn't doing the podcast. It's a bit hard to do a podcast from China, I'd say. I don't think that's going to be one of the easiest things in the world to do. But yeah, it's been non-stop, I think. I'm just catching up with it. In China as well, I got hit by the jet lag real bad. I wasn't sleeping more than like 5 or 6 hours a night. You're doing the classic go to bed at like midnight or whatever, and you're waking up at 2 a.m. and you're not going to be able to get back to sleep. And then I got back last night. It took me 30 hours from hotel to apartment to get back from Chengdu, China. And I slept for 12 hours. So I think we're back on track already. We might have solved it on the way home, which is quite nice. The Chinese jet lag can be rough. I saw No and Burchill down there. They're in Hong Kong now.
Yep.
Going from event to event.
Just flew over.
Makes sense. And yeah, okay. Well, I guess let's get things underway because we are close to the culmination of 2025, even though it feels like we still have a lot left to go because we've got to get through the major, right? That's what it's all about. A lot of things that I just want to kind of quickly whip through. But before we get there, we need to hit the top comment situation, Prof. Is it functioning? Is everyone happy? Right? Is it all going to plan these days?
Everything's going well. We got in touch with the last guy that won, I'm pretty sure, and we'll get in touch with a new person from this episode. Obviously, giving away a Vitality jersey, not a FURIA jersey. Even so, people were asking in chat. Unfortunately, they're not sponsored by our sponsor, Stake, so they're not giving us free jerseys. That's just how it works. Maybe they can reach out and connect.
Free jerseys from FURIA. To be fair, I mean, we could give some away. Obviously,
not for us. That's what I always say when people offer me jerseys. Like, I'm not going to use it. I can give it away when we have a podcast. And if you want it, if that's fine, send it over. I don't care. Yeah, we have a few top comments, a few interesting ones that we had on the lead up to the number one. One was from Naka, I guess.
Okay.
This is a classic streamer moment, misreading every nickname in chat or in general. That was just hyping up tier 2 CS after Legacy made the final in BGL Bucharest, right? And they also won in Shanghai recently before that. And that he mentioned that Budapest Majors 2 are going to be a bloodbath. And I think that is kind of true. It's going to be pretty unpredictable to know who's gonna be good between like a Fnatic and a Legacy and an NIP and all of these teams that had some decent runs and then some shitty runs in the build up to the major. So we'll see how that goes.
Okay. Yeah. When you look at the team list, there's only a couple of names that you might be ruling out of getting anything done, right? Like the Huns and Rare Adam, maybe Red Canids, but Brazilian Counter-Strike's on the up and up, so we have to be careful. We have to make sure that we're covering all our bases there. We'll get into plenty of FURIA later. So a reminder, the top comment, Prof, if people are tuning in and they're going, what's this all about? YouTube comment, right? Leave it, you get a jersey. Simple as that. It's not difficult. It's pretty straightforward. But lots of people, they don't leave comments, guys. Just take a moment, write down a couple of thoughts, maybe draw a picture of Striker with some text-based items like exclamation points, or maybe if you're good with the forward slash, the backslash. I'm not really sure what people like on the keyboards these days, but go nuts. We might see some magic happen. Artwork in the comments could be the way of the future.
I like this idea. You're definitely giving some ideas out there to the crowd. Unfortunately, all of the ASTI art that comes to mind for me, never good stuff. It's always the bad stuff that you usually see.
Fair enough.
Genitalia quite often, or some historic figures are the most common ones that come to mind for me.
But genitalia and historic figures at the same time.
Maybe together. Hal CS said Striker didn't blink once the whole podcast. Obviously, didn't have his webcam on. He was just a picture. But the picture had some good thoughts. Nailed some great predictions. And then a guy asking to get a jersey because he needs it to get the French citizenship. Unfortunately, he's getting deported. He only had one like. That's it from our build up to the comment of the week. The comment of the week, though, is about you, Chad.
Oh wow, I wasn't there.
You weren't there, and that's why it was about you. Olga Cam 1907. Aurora won a LAN, and SPUNJ is nowhere to be seen. Coincidence? Should be seen in front of Xantar's courtroom once again. I feel like this is a banger, multi-layered, multi-episode connection. Comment got the most likes. I think it's really deserved for the user right here. Banger. Just a banger.
You see, you got to work real hard on those comment mines to win yourself free stuff around these parts. Okay. So they have to contact us?
Yes, because you can't DM people on YouTube. So
that's true. Okay.
That's how it works.
All right. Well, we'll hope that they keep watching the episodes and they weren't just a one-off viewer. We'll see. All right. Well, there's the email on screen to contact fantasy@hltv.org.
That guy is not a one-up viewer. We can definitely know that.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, with the lore of knowing from episode to episode, but
Too much lore,
it gets plastered a bunch of whole different things. So maybe he's just keeping up. All right, nice. Well, that is brought to everybody by Steak. So let's keep things moving nice and gently along. Now, let's jump into some of these more. They're not hot button topics, are they? They're just kind of quick pieces of news that deserve a little bit of attention, but nothing too great, right? You know, you talk about it, and then you kind of move on to the next thing. This is regarding cadiaN.
Like lukewarm, breaking news.
Yeah, well, the thing is, it's like there's not even a roster behind this change, at least not a complete one. So for those people who missed it, cadiaN returning from a bit of time on the bench. Obviously, the whole Astralis situation didn't work out, and nor did the Liquid thing before that. But apparently back on the AWP and in-game leading over at OG, alongside of the roster that currently exists because they got rid of Krizen, who was the young in-game leader, the Danish kid, and Nikodos, who was their AWPer, who was more like a rifler AWPer. But now cadiaN comes in. He is 30 years of age, right? So if people are age watching, you can't really do like womb watching with men, can you? It's not the same thing. He's still either way. He's 30, right? So for an in-game leader, it's kind of par for the course these days. But Nikodos, Krizen out, cadiaN in alongside of Aras Dos, Adam B, and Spook. No fifth at the moment. Now, gentlemen, when you see this news, you go, okay, cadiaN's back. Are you excited? Right, I've never been a big OG fan, other than the Dota team. The Counter-Strike teams never really moved the needle for me.
At least recently, we got some excitement out of it just because it had some interesting young names, right? I mean, I was excited about Krizen, for example. Now he's gone. Why? Nobody knows. So that's my thoughts.
Well, I guess if cadiaN wants to all in-game lead,
gone?
Yeah,
that's what I want to know.
That's fair. I think in more recent times, it felt like they were starting to foster younger talent, right? Like it felt like, okay, well, we're not going to get any of these names, or trying to turn players that were something into something again within this roster and system hadn't really been working. So I kind of agree with that in the sense of, you know, they felt like they'd found someone of the next generation or someone who could maybe, help with players who were comparable, which is what a lot of these names are in the OG roster. And then now you grab cadiaN.
Let's put it like this. They were getting the same results done with a roster that was way cheaper than the one that they used to have, you know. So good job, I guess. I mean, that's something to clap.
But what do you think this change is about, Prof? Right, obviously bringing in cadiaN, someone with a distinct identity, and also like a clear approach to the game. At least once upon a time, it hasn't really been the same in Liquid or in Astralis, right? It wasn't able to pick up to the same level as what he was finding within Heroic, which was a good recipe. But this is a step down in terms of teammates.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. I'm also quite confused, especially without the fifth player. You can't really have the full picture, right? It's kind of silly to judge a 4-player team and make any predictions of how the team's going to go. But just looking at the little interview that came out is one of the things he mentioned. So asking about like what a successful year would be for them. He said it would be to have moved up in the rankings and have a roster where people feel comfortable in their roles and in the system. And there's a bit more about that. It kind of felt like the insinuation was that people weren't comfortable in the system previously, which would make sense why it would want to change an IGL. But this is all like a lot of trying to decipher between the lines. On what's actually going on, which I feel like he can have a system which makes sense and where people can play to more than their baseline or like the minimum of their abilities. Actually, the results can be more than the individual pieces of the team, which a team like OG probably needs to do. But it's kind of weird, as again, they had a young team that had some potential, but it just didn't really work out. They could have been at the major, weren't that far away, right? So I felt like they're on a good track, and then that track is now completely derailed and they're choosing a different path. So for me, it really depends on who the fifth is and then how it's developed further.
Yeah, fair. I think I break it up into two different conversations, right? One is obviously the cadiaN side of things because we hadn't seen him and who knows what option he was going to go for, right? Because he's had a couple of these moments within his career. I think the Rogue one is the one that put him back in the spotlight, right? And then I guess this could be the next attempt at that to see if the way he's envisioning the game, because obviously it can't be the same as it once was. The game's developing and whatnot, so needs to kind of keep up with that. But him on the rifle definitely wasn't it, at least not within the roles that they had him playing. So with the AWP back out and some young punchy players, because it's the thing I was saying, yeah, I've never really been a big fan of OG. I think Strike is bang on. In recent times, it felt like they had turned a corner with their general approach. So you look at this, Aristos and Adam only been there for 3 months. cadiaN's edition was yesterday. So it's going to be a very brand new roster. I think it's hard though for them building for the future, because this is one of the modern day farm teams, right? Like I think Gamer Legion have gone past that. They're not a farm team. They're like maybe like oh, you have a diamond and we're going to buy that from you team. They're a diamond store. This is more just a factory, and I think it shows the options available to cadiaN, because I imagine we had the conversation at the time of like, well, where does he go now? And this kind of makes sense, right? Like it's kind of a fit in that area when I think about it. The level that he would have to start at to step back up, right? Or do you guys think that? Yeah, I
think that's definitely fair, and it's also having young guns around him. It's obvious why the Liquid project didn't work out, right? It's like maybe there was too many
opinionated individuals in that Liquid roster.
A lot of individuals that will want their space, that will want their voice to be heard. Like Yakindar and Twistzz are obviously going to be big in trying to shape the team, and the coach has a voice, and the team leader has a voice. It felt like a little bit too many cooks in the kitchen. But if you are slotted into a team full of youngsters who haven't really found their place in the tier 1, you would imagine that those guys will buy into the vision, right? So at least I see that as a positive.
I think in this area as well with younger players, cadiaN doesn't have to be a conduit of like helping facilitate. This sounds wrong, but like we'll talk a lot about FURIA later, but the Yakinda Fallen thing, Yakinda in the positions he plays, he's doing a lot of like mid-round calling, right? And we know that Yakinda has a high Counter-Strike IQ. I think Fallen's job is to be like a leader of men and help facilitate that. With cadiaN in this situation, he doesn't need to do that within this team. It's kind of like he has soldiers, which is bit more inclined to what Heroic was, which was like, do this, trust me blindly, right? Because he has a read in the moment based off of where he is. I think he won't have those clashes with making those calls and having players put up too much of a wall, unless that's something that within the time, because if you've had 7 months off on your cadiaN, obviously there's different offers that have come in. You've considered your future. Do you want to go with this? Do you want to make a pivot into something else? Or do you want to play, right? And you wondered, okay, does he stick with what worked when he was towards the top of the Counter-Strike pyramid, which was, him just having these blood brothers who would respond to whatever he said at the drop of a hat? Or does he want to try and develop and see if he can have another way of being able to lead a team? I think for him to use the way that he would get passionate and get everyone to buy in is probably the best thing he can do with young players, right? And just go out there and use them as his weapons. But yeah, I think Prof's bang on. We can't really judge anything until there's 5 players there and we know what the team's going to look like. But just looking at it from cadiaN's perspective, makes sense if he wants to keep playing. Okay, I'm cool to move on. You guys happy?
Yeah.
All right. Is the Skinionaire about cadiaN?
No, it's about the Hall of Fame, apparently.
Okay. All right. Well, that works nicely. So if people missed it, obviously we're in the lead up to the award show for 2025. It's going to be in early 2026. And the Hall of Fame is something that you guys started last year. There was 4 inductees last year. They were going to watch. Lovely watch. That's what we all like. Everyone likes watches that tells the time. No, but they're expensive watches, guys. Was it Rolex?
Yep.
Okay, those are pretty good. Now, as a guy who doesn't really know anything about watches, I think Rolexes are pretty good. So that's what happens if you go to the Hall of Fame. You're also immortalized in the Hall of Fame. That's kind of nice. And we've added 3 more to that list, those 3 being Markov, Kogu, and olofmeister. I was part of the panel. I saw the panel tweets come out. To be fair, I think it was while I was in China on the way. So my social media monitoring was nowhere near as high as it usually is. So I may have missed a couple of details there. I did see what you retweeted, Prof, with Kogu finding out when he was live on stream with the award and whatnot. So that's always nice. Let's get into the Skinionaire, shall we? Because that might answer some of the questions if some of our newer viewers are not familiar with some of these older names. Now, people should be familiar with Olof. He's somewhat recent history. I guess he's more on people's screens in a regular way, whereas Kogu and Markov, maybe people aren't too familiar with. So let's get into this, shall we? This is Who Wants to Be a Skinionaire, brought to you in conjunction with one of our sponsors, Skin Club. It's 5 questions, multiple choice. Each question we get correct moves the needle, and there's a possibility to win the grand prize of a $50 skin, which which could go a long way in the modern skin economy. But more on that later. I think just for people who are playing at home, when you are in Kick right now, you need to type Skin Club. No dot, right? You need to type Skin Club. I think the dot caused some issues. We want to make sure everyone gets their opportunity to enter. And that's your raffle ticket, your opportunity to enter the draw. Okay, cool. I think everyone's up to speed. Have you seen these, Prof?
No, I have no idea what they're about. So
it's for you two guys, I think, because I saw them.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go.
I do horrible.
I can't remember the last time you've done one of these, Prof. Normally it's being Striker or the guest. So let's get this one underway. People are typing Skin Club in chat right now. That's great. Let's kick it off with question number 1 of Who Wants to Be a Skinionaire, brought to you by Skin Club. Okay. On which of the current maps in CS2 is Olof... why can't I say the word? I'm so tired. Commemorated. Yeah, I feel like a fucking idiot. Overpass, Cache, or no such map? Well, we all know the answer to that one, don't we?
Honestly, is it still there on the new version?
Oh.
I don't know. I think there are 2, right? There's the boost and the fire. But if you ask me right now,
well, it
if
has
they're
to be
still
overpass
there,
is the answer, though.
There's definitely not on Cache. That I can say.
So we got to put in overpass. Maps in CS2. Oh,
it's in CS2.
I'm going with.
I don't know.
I feel like it's a trick. I'm going with overpass.
Okay, let's go for the overpass. Let's go.
Locking in A overpass and jumping in. There you go.
Okay.
Now I don't look at the signage unless I need to line up a nade. So I understand he diffused in a Molotov and he also did a boost, right? So
I think the flying one has to still, or like the diffuse one still has to be there. No, I actually don't know either, but one of them's got to be there.
I can go have a look right now. Hold up.
Well, based on this answer, one of them is there.
We'll check later. All right.
I feel like the boost is not there anymore. I feel like
but it'd be on a sign, right? It was on the sign.
Yeah. I don't think that sign's there anymore.
I don't know.
I haven't played Overpass
in a while, to be fair.
When Payne had 2 players, one on another in that corner, and I don't feel like I saw it. But people in the chat can say. I'll check after this.
Okay, we'll make sure we do our homework. Okay, 1 from 1. Question number 2. Markelov attended more than half of CS:GO majors. True or false? Ooh,
he was there he was there like 16. Right, so it'd be like
14, 15, 16.
1, then 3. That's 4, 7.
Like 22 majors.
2015. Okay, 1, 3, 1, 4, 7, 11. What was his last? 2017 Flipside?
Probably.
2018.
Unless was Flipside at FaZe major in 2018?
That feels like yes already. If there's 22 majors. I don't know if he missed some.
I feel like false, bro. I don't know. That seems like a lot, doesn't it?
That would be insane if it's a yes. But if you just include 2017, that's 11 majors. So you just needed to do 1 FaZe major 2018. And when did he stop playing? Actually, fuck, this is so hard.
I will tell you, you're right about your assumption in terms of like 11 majors being 2017. So that's 100% true.
How many majors? Is it 22 majors we've had?
I think so, yeah. I think that's right.
But did he attend? That would mean that would he have attended all of the majors, Prof? Was he in that illustrious club for a long period of time? Because he wasn't playing. He wasn't playing like for.
Did he? The first one he played was NAVI, right?
Guys, the timer ran out. You have to answer.
Yeah, fuck the timer, Lucas. We're trying to get the conversation is what this is about. It's just this is merely a vessel for us to have a conversation and engage the viewer. All right, the veil has slipped. Everybody, you've been fooled. All right, this is what it's about. To us to have an engaging conversation, and we're doing that right now.
Who replaced him on Flipside, or did Flipside just die? And
no, I think he would have been replaced, right? Because then they ended up having like a Waylander, World Edit. Like, was he part of those rosters?
I'm pretty sure he was on Flipside for years, kind of like the olofmeister situation. He's on FaZe, guys. You can be in Hall of Fame when they just like didn't have a team for years.
That's true. That is true.
And
I'm not giving away anything this year, but you're 100%. I think the team died and he just stayed on the contract. Like that, the org just died. The org just stopped existing effectively.
So 11 would make it. But wait, hold up. It says more than.
More than. So
More
yeah,
than
it's
half.
had
So
to be
we're
12.
at 12. So the first
Imagine
major
the-
of 2018 was Boston?
Yep.
Oh yeah, yeah, Boston.
I don't think more than.
Because 2018
This is a
would
diabolical
be
question. I have to say, I also didn't
no. It
know
has
what
to
I
be
saw.
no. Has to be no. Has to be no. Because 2018 was already QBF, and some of the QBF and Flipside guys were the same. No, well, Waylander was from
Yeah.
Was Waylander in QBF?
Yep. Let's go with false. Let's go with
hopefully we've
false.
gotten there. Let's go.
Locking in false. Correct answer is no.
True. Let's go.
He was
We're wrong.
He was at the league. He was at
He
the
was
league.
at Boston.
Yeah, and he was at every major until E-League.
No way.
And that was his last. So he
That was
did
his last.
13. He did
Waylander
12.
wasn't on that QBF roster, by the way.
Okay, fuck me.
I don't think at least.
I
don't think so.
I couldn't do it anymore. It was, but this is like 12.
It was
like,
it was a
perfectly one
diabolical
more.
question. I also thought it was false. But then you think like there's a lot of majors. Like early we had 3 majors in a year. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. 2014,
Yeah.
2015, and 3 majors a year.
I liked Prop.
Damn.
Prop was 100% on point every step of the way, and then you just derailed him completely.
Sorry, Prof.
No, I
guess
actually
it's
derailed myself.
sorry to whoever's going to win because now you can't win the grand prize. $15 skin still available though. Okay, let's get into question number 3. Kogu notably won ESWC 2003, ESWC 2006, ESWC 2010.
2006.
You're confident? You said it with
I'm-
confidence.
Yeah.
You're greatly confident. All right, locking in B, ESWC 2006. Correct answer is ESWC 2006. Okay. All right. Nice. All right. Let's get into question number 4.
2010 was too late. That was
It was like
2003 was too
Poland era,
early.
right? Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
think
Mark
Mark was
Love
playing
already
at
there.
that point anymore.
Yeah. and I was looking back.
It would have been Kiku in like the 2003s marks, right? But I
Jesus
think Kogu and
Christ.
Kiku played together. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I know I was
Kiku
talking with the Chinese player Alex, who down as commentary because they were there in venue doing stuff in Chengdu, and we were talking, and like their English is better than they let on. And we were chatting, and I mentioned the CGS, and like we were talking about those days, and he was like, "Oh shit, I don't think he realized." You know, I did say fuck sauce. I think he respected that a lot. Now I'm gonna have to like try and nominate Chinese Counter-Strike players in the Hall of Fame because I want to go live in China, guys. I want to do the Kenny S situation. Don't know if I can learn Mandarin like Kenny. Anyway, speaking of derailing, I'm doing it again. Let's get back with the question. Sorry. olofmeister was a major MVP at Katowice 2015, Cologne 2015, or both of the below.
Only one.
I don't remember. Like, I know that it was JW in 2013, right, when they won
Yes.
DreamHack Winter.
And Flusha was on one.
Okay, but would it have been Cologne or would it have been Katowice? When I always think of Flusha at Katowice, I think of that 2017 final, which was against FaZe. So like that kind of fucks it in my mind. That's when Flusha was doing some absolutely bonkers nonsense. I want to say Cologne, but wasn't it Katowice where he was the diffuse Katowice?
I'm pretty sure the diffuse added nothing to his MVP race. Let's just
Fair.
say like
Fair.
that.
No, but it stands out.
But Cologne was the NIP final, right?
Yeah.
They won both of these. We're
They did.
not both of these.
They didn't win both of these, yes. It is. One is Olaf,
feel
the other
like-
is Flusha. I can tell you that much.
It's just which one's who.
Oh, I don't know what I would go on to remember this. I'm trying to remember the MVP photo, but we didn't do MVP photos.
Does
then.
it help you if I tell you Tech 9?
I just think when I think about Olaf and this year, I think about Tech 9, Cobblestone, B.
Yes, that's where I was going.
This
So
is
there
what
was
I
a
think
tournament-
about.
So there was a tournament where he played where he had like half of his skills are from the Tech 9 because the weapon was just so dumb. And it was one of these two. I actually
Yeah,
don't
but
know
it was
which
the
one of
same
these two it
era
is,
of
though.
Counter-Strike, so it's like
It is, yeah.
But if it was dumb, means it got nerfed. So it got nerfed later, perhaps. But
was
maybe
he even
people didn't
MVP at this
discover it.
point?
No, but
did
Envious
that
still won. Wasn't it Envious who won the third one? Was it
2014,
Cluj?
yeah.
Oh, 2014.
Envy has won
Envy won 2015 Cluj, yeah, but then LDLC won 2014, obviously.
Yeah, but either way, the Tech9s were still stupid then. Like I was playing in that meta of Counter-Strike. I don't remember that getting nerfed while I was playing. I know that the fucking A1S got nerfed while I was playing.
I don't know. I feel like it's Cologne and Katowice would be Flusha. I don't know. This is just my gut feeling.
All right, let's lock in Cologne. We're already wrong on one. Let's go wrong a lot. Or if we're gonna go wrong, let's go big. All right. Correct answer is.
But was that the real MVP? Probably a bad decision.
Yeah, I bet Nero was doing something back there when he was about 12 years of age. I'm sure it was always fault. All right, question number 5.
Was MongolZ the MVP in Cologne, maybe?
Markelov played his last game for Flipside in 2017, 2018, or 2019. Has to be 2018 then, right?
Yeah.
No. Oh. But
what if he double tricked us now?
What, and it's 2019?
What if? Yeah. What if they?
That can't be. Cato. Oh, his last game. Fuck. Come on, let's just go with 18. Let's double down. Let's double down.
Let's go.
All right. Lucky in 2018. Yes. All right. 3 out of 5. It's not good. It's not bad. It's straight down the middle. So we apologize profusely to whoever wins, but that's the game. That's
250 spin coming your way, guys.
It's $7.50, you know, and every dollar counts these days. That you could open
in this economy 2
cases for that much, you know. So congratulations to whoever Lucas says is the winner. It's coming shortly, I'm sure. That's Who Wants to Be a Skinionaire, brought to you by Skin Club. Who?
Crawley.
Crawley. Oh, yeah. CRAWLIE in chat right now. He said lol. So congratulations to you. You've won $7.50.
That was so hard, but it was very fun. It was good.
And
a diabolical one, like really hard one, to be honest. I think I would have ended up on 2 as well if I was doing it.
That was a tough one. All right, I enjoy it. You know, sometimes it's better that way, though. Yeah.
Important part of this quiz was that we talked a lot, so we showed that we have a lot of knowledge, even though we got everything wrong. So, like, if this was a test, we'd get like half point on everything, and it would be like a passing grade, and that's it. And I hope the viewers remember that part and not the ultimate score.
So it's like the math teacher who just like gives you points for like you got the working right, but the end result is wrong.
And we tried, you know, it wasn't like we just phoned it in. We were doing our best, and knowledge is incomplete. That's the way she goes. You can't have all the knowledge, and you can't have it all the time. Otherwise, you'd be all powerful. So
you were the guys who were just like still writing answers even after the bell rang and everything.
Yeah. We're still giving it a go.
It's like the paper is being taken away. You're like writing on it.
Just quickly for everyone, so we can kind of jump back into the Hall of Fame conversation. Have they confirmed attendance, Prof? Are they coming to the award show?
We're in conversation. I mean, Olaf and Kogu, yes. Markelov's obviously a bit of a more difficult situation for him to come to from Ukraine. But reached out, got in touch with them. Actually, the Olaf one, we did something a bit special because I don't know if you know, but like in NHL, NFL, whatever, they have this concept called the knock, where they send like previous Hall of Famers to the door of the guy.
Oh, okay.
To like tell him that he's in. So we did something similar since I'm in Sweden a lot. Have my connections over there. So we got Get Right and Potty, and we communicated with Olaf's brother, and we set it up like a whole little like, oh, we need to talk or whatever. So yeah, we rocked up to the place, surprised him, gave him like a little note and everything. It was a good vibe.
Oh, nice. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I saw some conversation going on. I got tagged in something, and you replied to it actually on the thread, and people obviously having conversations about the Hall of Fame and everything like that. I think it's interesting, right? Because for these names right here, depending on how old you are, most people maybe would be familiar with Markelov if they were watching early CSGO days. Definitely would be familiar with Olaf. And then you have somebody like Kogu, who, unless they've seen him as a coach in some of like his more recent exploits, wouldn't know too much about him. And when I look at these names, right, they're not all part of a different era, but like the Markelov and the Koga that I'm thinking of is the dominance on the AWP and 1.6 that I was watching when I was a teenager, right? Like, and I think for Markelov, for him to be able to carry it through, it was always weird with Markelov when he came to CSGO and he's like, I don't want to be known as an AWPer anymore. I was like, why? We just ended 1.6 and you were the best AWPer. I was like,
he was also great. Like, he actually did up on the Navi in the early days, but then he goes to the flip side is like, I'm going to be a great rifler. Never happened.
It was a weird choice. It was definitely a weird choice. But on that Navi roster in 1.6, with the Edward, Zeus, Senya, Starix, and Markelov, like Markelov was an absolute beast. Like watching him was a joy. Same with Kogu. I think like having the Brazilian flair, he was like I got to play against some of these guys in terms of the crossover of the CGS with certain players and whatnot, and played against Markelov within my time in the CSGO. But then Olof, I got copped a beating or two from. But I saw some people upset about like, I was just going down, Prof. Someone's like, how are you inducting this guy if you're not inducting Neo? And it's like, well, you can't do Neo, right? Because he's still a coach.
I mean, first of all, like, as much as I don't agree with maybe some things, it's good that people are talking about it, which means that it's interesting. And also, we're not claiming like we have the perfect formula on how to do this, because it's not really simple, because we have so many legendary players that you want to induct. And how do you do it in a good way, in a respectful way, and also giving them the proper induction, not just being like, these 30 people are part of the Hall of Fame. It just doesn't feel right, at least for me. So the way we went with it, okay, 4 people, 3 people per year, and we can give them all the shine that they need. Yeah, the part with Neo is a decision we made in the first year, and we continued with this year, despite some people being maybe it doesn't make sense. Is like, if you're actively competing either as a coach or a player, you're not eligible to be inducted for the Hall of Fame. It doesn't mean like you're bad or anything. It's just, it doesn't feel proper to me. For example, inducting Neo this year when his time and FaZe and the FaZe's whole year has been disastrous.
Yeah, pretty rubbish.
And you're like celebrating him. I think for him individually wouldn't feel right. Yeah. And be like, oh yeah, I'm great. Like, yes, you are great as a player, but like he's still in the competition sphere, and it just feels not the right time to do it, because obviously, whenever it happens, retired,
he would 100% be in the Hall of Fame, right? Neo is in the conversation for one of the best 1.6 players of all time. It's like, you know, it's Neo or Forest. That's the way you look at it.
As soon as he's not competing, he will be inducted. Like I have no doubts about it, right? So maybe, you know, we are still considering things will change over years, and it does happen in every Hall of Fame, right? But this is just how we're approaching it for now. I think the other thing is the whole olofmeister situation, which I'm really honestly confused about, that people are taking it so deeply. The fact that he was like noted as FaZe benched or something. Behind the scenes, I know he's never going to play for FaZe. I've known this for years, speaking to people. But obviously, there is a contract there. You can't really say what's in the contract because all of these contracts are under NDAs. But he's not going to play. He has no intention of playing. They have no intention of using him as a player. There's been like, did he retire officially? No. But neither did Markelov. Markelov never said that he's retired. Some things are like obviously implied, and we never wanted to make it a rule like you need to officially retire to be able to be eligible. But because then half the players from 1.6 wouldn't be eligible. Like no one really back in the day said like, I am retired now, because it wasn't that serious, right? So our rule is literally just says inactive. And okay. Olof is definitely inactive.
I guess it's interesting as well. Like if people are debating about like the order in which people were inducted when we have such a, because we are going back like deep within the history books, right? I'm probably happier to know people are arguing about the order as opposed to the names, right? If people are saying like, oh, this name shouldn't be there, it's like, okay, well then maybe something fucked up. But that's not the thing. It's like, oh, how was he inducted before this guy? And Graham's in chat right now. He made an interesting point. He said, should we only be inducting one a year, or are you going to be full very soon? Like you're saying, maybe it'll have to change eventually, because there is a backlog of legends to get through. Right. And if
by the time we get through that backlog, we're going to have like 10 other people that we have to include, you know, because like if we're doing 3 a year, even 30 people in the Hall of Fame, I can totally imagine easily now.
Sure.
So like it's not going to be a problem, I think, for a while.
Well, Counter-Strike turned 25 years of age the other day, and that's from its retail release, right? Obviously, the betas and stuff before that has its own history. So yeah, and there's probably a lot of people from a lot of different regions who either had an impact on the game or their region to a significant amount that should or at least be in the conversation for the Hall of Fame. So I saw
just there's also the conversation about someone said, oh, Markelov played an official in 2024, or like Getright and Forest, they were inducted in the Hall of Fame, but they played like a VRS tournament with Freiburg and a mixed team. They are literally called Boomer Demons, playing for fun, went 0-5. Like, what are we talking about? Like, a part of this whole Hall of Fame is like, we have the voting part, but we also have the let's use logic and take things with a grain of salt. Just because someone played one HLTV map in a year doesn't mean he's an active competitor. That's a ridiculous claim. Like, do people actually think this? Like, what is going on? Do people think Markelov is a pro player because he stood in for a team for a game? Like, I'm kind of bamboozled at some of these claims, to be honest.
Yeah, well, like I said, if people were arguing the names themselves as opposed to the order, like those kind of things are just for the sake of arguing on the internet, which is what some people enjoy to do. Rage baiting's all the rage these days. Pardon the pun. All right, let's move on. Let's keep going with the show. So yeah, as part of this whip around that was meant to be quick, that is far from it. We had a bunch of tournaments that were going on last week that were just all over the place. So I figured may as well jump into some of these because the ramifications of them might be felt in the next invite cycle, maybe, or the right. So let's get into that. So Red Bull giveaway. This is interesting, Prof, because you got that Swedish connection that we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
They put on an event, and what was it about? I saw people on a train, and they were playing on console games and stuff. Where were they going? Were they going to Hogwarts? What the fuck was happening there?
I mean, we were there for the last edition, right?
Yes,
we were doing
but now
the
there's a
podcast
tournament
and stuff. But now they added a tournament to it, and it was happening at a resort. So it was like a 7-8 hour train from Stockholm, which goes overnight. So people, you sleep in the train and then you arrive and then you play CS or play anything. Generally, the giveaway concept is like a fancy dream hack, smaller fancy dream hack. Like, don't bring your PCs. They give you the PCs and their stuff going on. But they added a tournament because they're like, why not add a tournament? I guess VRS tournaments.
Well, now that you can do the VRS side of things, it actually is beneficial.
Yeah, because they got some good teams. Obviously, Simple and Electronic were playing there, and a bunch of these like tier 2 teams came to play overall. So, and Eyeballers won.
Yeah, I guess that's the takeaway, right? JW winning a trophy in Sweden alongside that next generation down there. If anyone's interested, that's where Maxter is. I know we had him for a while with NIP, and then there's a lot of Swedish names that are like that, aren't they? That kind of appeared, and then people were like, oh, this is promising, and then we didn't see a whole lot of. But now in terms of what are they on the VRS? They're 46th, so they're still outside the bubble, but they've definitely climbed up. Probably the headline, as opposed to Eyeballers winning, would be Simple's boys not doing well.
Yeah.
I didn't watch the games. I was not on the time zone to do so. But did they get out of groups? They got out of groups, but then they lost to, was it Sashi? Yeah, it was Sashi 2-0 with Smooya standing in. Yeah. So that was probably the headline of that. But I didn't watch their game, so I don't really feel like in a position to comment regarding the matches themselves, so I won't. But there you go. That's that. Let's jump into the next one. Let me see if I can. I've lost myself in all my windows. So Skyesports, who I like to give a hard time for cancelling events, ran an event, and Big won it. I couldn't even tell you who's in Big's roster right now, if I'm going to be honest with you. It's like Freeze came into in-game lead. Tabs said I don't want to do it anymore. They have a Dane in there. Like, what?
I mean, he was standing in only because
that's it makes it even worse, right? Like, their roster is Tabson, JDC, Process, Freeze, and Grix. So yeah, they did have to use a stand-in throughout that event, but they won that event. Why are we talking about Big? Why did I add this to the news?
That's what I said last time. It's like I told you last time, like, we're not going to start talking about Big until they do something. I know they did something kind of, but then again, it is like the Musketeers team that hasn't really done much either.
Well, that's why it's a quick whip around, because there's not really much to say. In the final, they beat a team that no one's heard of. I thought they were called the Mosquitoes, but no, it's the MOUZ.
It's Musketeers, basically. Whatever.
Is that whatever, bro.
Jack's there.
I mean, just look at the look at the
Jack,
logo.
Sixer, Devaduvek. Yep.
What is the Sixer meme?
Yeah.
Sixer highlight?
It's my favorite, the Sixer one. It's still my favorite. Oh my God, Sixer. That's still my favorite. Okay, that was a tournament. That happened. That's cool.
That was a tournament, indeed.
And then jumping into the final piece, one that was actually interesting, right? Fragedelhia, they're running a lot of these events at the moment. Another Fragedelhia landed in New Jersey that went down. And the final was between NRG and M80. And that's actually kind of interesting because both of those teams are in stage 1 of the major and they might play up against each other. Also important to see what the form is of teams who are on a continent that maybe isn't Europe going into. You know, we know that the European teams are the best teams, guys. I don't want to beat around the bush. We don't have to do that. But it was a reverse sweep from NRG over M80, which is probably concerning if you're M80. Also a positive fact for this NRG roster. They've got Nitro, Sonic, Exotic, Bro, and George in there and under the helm of Daps. And that's the news there. That was the news.
Yeah. I mean, the big piece of news there is Saw failed, another local event type thing, because they lost to Energy and Marsborn, and I think in the 3rd place decider. And you're like, these guys were just like super competitive against like top 15 teams in the world in Bucharest, and they go to this North American LAN and they lose to Marsborn.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on? I don't know if I can explain it.
Well, you've got two ways to look at it. One is the gap between like the I want to call it top North American teams, because like Liquid's not a North American team anymore, in my opinion. Are they technically? Right. No. What is it?
No, they're 2.
Just Elige and NAF. So yeah. So in terms of top North American Counter-Strike, it's not in the strongest state it's ever been, and no one's saying that. Or maybe this Saw result says it is, right? Maybe they're closer than everybody thinks, and there's not that much of a divide. You could look at it from that angle, or you could look at it from the other angle that Saw just had an above average performance at Bucharest. You could look at it from that angle too.
EGL farmers.
Someone's got to be.
That's absolutely true, actually. Yeah.
Someone's got to do it. Yeah, why not? You can't say that. The Portuguese fans won't like it. You got to talk about Jill being the GOAT and all this stuff. So that's it.
I glazed the fuck out of this team for a week straight. That's why I'm confused.
We didn't talk about them on last podcast at all. They were top 4 there. They're top 4 here. That's just their level. You know, that's how it is.
Okay.
But also, I mean, playing like a local LAN like this and playing a PGL event or like a tier 1 event is different. Like you play one game
things, yeah.
You play one game a day on like super, perfect setups, and over there it's just not like that. You're gonna play a bunch of games. You're not gonna prepare. You're not gonna know everything. So if that's your vibe, if you need to like anti-strat like they did maybe against some Aurora or something, it's a completely different thing versus playing with against a Marsborn
with 60.
Yeah,
and there it is.
Yeah. Shout out one time.
All right, what do we got? We're almost at 3, so we've been going for less than an hour because we started late. Either way, this probably is the best time to take an ad break. So Lucas, if you could, take us to the ad break, and we'll be right back. We'll get into post Chengdu and Hong Kong, which is underway right now.
They say victory belongs to 5 on stage, but it's never just 5. It's every heartbeat in the crowd, every cheer that shakes the stage, every flick, every clutch, written together. On stage or in the crowd, we are one. Skin Club, together as one.
Ever wanted to try Refrag? Well, now you can. For the viewers of HLTV Confirmed, you can claim a 1-week free trial for the world's best CS2 training platform, letting you try out all of our features, like the Refrag Coach, which will analyze your games and give you a personalized training plan. You can also try out Challenger, an all-new game mode, which will test your retake abilities in realistic in-game scenarios. Try Refrag today for free using the link in the description.
You're a CS player and you won a major. It's not something people can take away from you, you know?
No matter what would have happened in that tournament, I'm glad I got benched.
It's just hard, you know, like when I look back at this image, all I see is that I failed.
When Device decided to quit the team, that was like the nail in the coffin.
Okay, this is where I want to be, this is where my place should be.
You know, if I could trade in all the trophies to just have my father back, that would be a fair trade.
Before we continue the discussions, a short message from our sponsor, Stake. Stake is offering a weekly reload for new users, which means you can claim $35 across 7 days by contacting support and using code HLTVORG. And now back to the show.
All right, thanks for sticking with us through the break. And thanks to our lovely sponsors. Let's get the second half of the show underway. Something that we were talking about in our WhatsApp group and that we thought we'd bring up was a tweet a little bit earlier from Silvio. For those people not familiar with Silvio, he's the CEO of PGL. Been doing this for an awfully long time. He made a tweet today. Lucas, can you whack it up on the screen and I'll read it out for our audio-only listeners. The tweet reads, several CS2 Tier 1 events in 2026 won't take place, as they missed the deadline for announcing the additional details. None of the StarLadder CS2 Tier 1 events in 2026 will take place. The same applies to 2 of the 3 Fisher CS2 Tier 1 events in 2026, Playground 4 and Playground 5. So far, there has been no StarLadder announcement for any Tier 1 event in 2027. Now, he just made that tweet and then just left the room. He just kind of came in and just said it and then walked out. And it's
that's Silvio for you in a nutshell, to be honest. I mean, it's always he just drops a bomb and leaves and refuses to elaborate.
Let me change the header on this and we can get into the conversation. Prof, you read this. What are your impressions of this? What are you taking away from this?
I mean, people are taking this literally as in they are not going to run these events because they missed the deadline. I just read it as they will not be running the event.
The event, yeah.
Also, additional confirmation of this, they have missed the deadline. This is how I read it.
Well, let's clear that up for you, shall we?
Because everything that we've heard about, I mean, we haven't heard anything pretty much about StarLadder doing anything after the major. If anything, we've heard behind the scenes that they're definitely...
It's a long time ago now.
That nothing is happening except the major, and they already canceled one event and shrunk one event this year. So it just seems like they're doing the major, and that's it. Peace out, A-Town. And then for Fisher, we heard that they're facing very big financial struggles while also just announcing bigger than ever prize pool,
more
for
money.
Their events.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy. It's really crazy. It doesn't add up. It doesn't add up that they ran. I was like,
well, it does
use your eyes.
They added it up and they don't have enough money. That's
that part adds up.
Yeah.
It didn't add up that they're like, oh, these 2 events that they run this year, which had not too bad, attendance, but obviously almost no fans coming to the events and viewership so and everything with huge prize pools. That they're going to be like, more events, more prize pool next year. It's like, how, based on what? Based on, and also apparently some of the sponsors pulling out and stuff like that. It just doesn't seem like that is feasible in any way. So you're kind of skeptical. Then some of the reports come out. I think it was Richard that ran the one on them laying off 80% of staff and moving from Belgrade to Russia. It seemed very skeptical that they would be running all of these events that they put out. And ultimately, the problem is why is this allowed to be done in this way? And we've been speaking about this since the beginning. Who is stopping the 3 of us from just saying that we're going to run 4 events in 2027, 28, whenever what the timeline is, I don't know right now, being confirmed LAN, $7 million. 32 teams in Schengen zone. There it is. Guys, book the dates. That's it. Yeah. And then being actually, we're not going to run it. No consequences for such behavior. So people, of course, abuse that.
Well, we were talking about this before with the Skyesports guys, right? With their bigger events they went to run and then pulling out. And I feel the same in this situation. I think that, right, for people who look at this, Silvio makes the tweet and then doesn't elaborate, right? People have to read between the lines. They have to go, okay, so why would he be bringing this to the forefront? What reason would this be? Now, put yourself in the position of a tier who does actually announce events and run them. okay, well, now you've got these things that come up in the calendar and you're planning around these events, and these events are just fake events. Like, they're not happening. And there's, as you're talking about, Prof, there's no punishment for this. You can just do it and you can get away with it. And it has implications. If I wanted to plan my season as a team and I'm not one of the top 10 teams, then obviously the ESO, Blast, and PGO invites aren't all guaranteed. It'll have to trickle down. I'll have to attend more of the Fishers. I'll have to attend more of these other events that might not have the headline events. And you want to have, first of all, a good quality tournament. You want it to have a good payoff, and you want there to be decent teams there. And these get announced, then nothing happens.
Yeah,
I was talking about, like, what was it, like a 3-strike rule last time? But yeah, hit me, Striker. Where you want to go with this?
I was just gonna say that, like, it's not even the issue that you don't run it. It's the issue that you take up the calendar spot without anybody being able to fill it after you announce that you don't run it, or even you don't announce that you don't run it. Like, because we're now past the deadline, so you can't even announce a tier 1 event where that calendar slot was in the first place, you know? So, like, as much, like, it's not even good news for Silvio, who's obviously, you know, looking to probably be one of the big dogs in terms of tournament organizers, having all the best teams and all that stuff. So, like, he can't even try to take advantage of the fact that, okay, there is much more space for me now, I can run more events. No, you cannot, because the new rules prevent you from doing so, right? So that's the problem that I see with this, not so much that somebody just decides it's no longer worth it from a business perspective. I think that just kind of makes sense, like, especially if for a couple of events you don't get the sort of teams that you wanted. You thought, you know, you just made your business plan dependent on, you know, but let's say 5 of the top 10 teams saying yes. That doesn't happen. Your bottom line suddenly doesn't work because you don't get the viewership to meet the sponsor obligations, whatever it is, right? Like, all this stuff. I can, like, the business side, I can totally understand why you would cancel an event. The problematic part is you've just fake created a tournament at a calendar slot that no longer exists anymore, you know? And so that's my problem.
Yeah, and I think that should be everyone's problem, right? Because, like, we're seeing overlaps that are going to exist for PGO with ESO or Blast or any of these events, right, on top of each other. And if these other tournaments are coming in and taking up other weeks where maybe that wouldn't have to be the case, like, if we had, like, PGO, ESO, and Blast be able to run their events and not have to overlap or cause these travel issues or whatever, we're in a pretty good spot. The problem is, the reason that we've returned to the model, well, not returned to, the reason that this model that we have now existing is to make it so the entire scene isn't reliant on Blast and ESL. Because let's say if it changes in ownership or whatever with those companies, they just pull the plug and they don't exist anymore, then there goes professional Counter-Strike, and then someone has to come in and fill the void. Now, PGL, right, they did 2 majors coming out of the pandemic. They are back in the space running events on a regular basis, and they're doing so to a quality that the top teams want, right? They're getting the hospitality, they're getting everything there. Where some of these other events, they're trying, but they're trying to go in and take top spots. And you want to take top spots because you want the good teams, like you're talking about from the business perspective, so that you can guarantee the viewership, and then from there you're able to, you know, get the sponsors what they want. But it's as I'm sure people probably could have come to the conclusion of, there's only so many top teams to go around, right? They're not going to be at all the events. And when they don't go to your event, it can have some pretty big ramifications on those scenarios. But what's the solution here? Because we want TOs to try, but you're not going to be able to claw the gap between the big dogs and where these, I don't want to call them entry level, right? Because there's name value of StarLadder, and I think Fisher did a decent job, at least from a viewer perspective. So, like, what are you meant to do here? Like, I don't know. You don't want to push them away by going, well, if you do this too many times, you're going to get a slap on the wrist, you're going to get fined, you're going to get barred from getting a license, because you want TOs to come in and try and run events. But you also don't want the issue it causes in the calendar, because it's going to make for a more sluggish calendar for mainly the teams and the other TOs who are doing the right thing. So it's a tough one. I don't know how we solve this issue.
I mean, ultimately, I do think that you can punish them to some degree, right? Because, I mean, ultimately, they were working with a budget that they didn't really have, and that's why they pulled out, or they didn't fulfill it because there were no repercussions for not doing it, right? So I don't know that if there was a system of repercussions or something like that, then maybe some of these events wouldn't have canceled, and if they would have, then okay, then you don't get to host the next one or whatever it is, you know? So I do think that there's some value in having some sort of a system in place to punish TOs for doing this regularly, at least. As you say, I think, if it happens once, or like if you realize this event no longer makes sense because 3 other tournaments popped up in the same spot, I think that's a bit different compared to like you have your own slot and all that stuff, just your entire business model crashed and you're just exiting the space. You might as well get barred from hosting events in the future, because, you just fucked over a couple of other TOs that wanted to have that space, right? So I think that would be absolutely fair.
3 strike rule. That's what I think. Over what period of time, I don't know, but we'll work it out. We can get there, can't we?
I think the biggest problem is you can't really punish a company that doesn't do Counter-Strike anymore, right?
True.
And also, who's stopping? Let's just use the Starladder example. Starladder.
Well, that's rewarding a company, isn't it? Right? Like they got a major.
Yeah, but after that, they have 3 events. Let's say in the next year or 2, they don't run any of them. You say like, oh, Starladder, you can't run events for 2 years. They're like, okay, we weren't going to run them anyway. That's why we handle them.
Yeah.
And then they change their mind, and now Ladder Star comes into Counter-Strike.
And to be fair,
that's true.
To be fair, like a lot of these will have shared shared leadership or whatever you want to say, and then next time they want to host a major, they will come with a pitch saying this guy's our CEO, the CEO of whatever. I'm just using an example, right? Of Ladder Star that used to be the CEO of Starladder. Valve is going to be like, yeah, maybe we're not going to award you another major after what just happened, So it's obviously
I think
going to have some sort of a repercussion down the line if you want to get back into the space.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be something they're going to be taking into account anyway. That's just the common sense part. Just like in the Hall of Fame, obviously Valve is considering that. But also, obviously, they didn't consider it when they gave Starladder the major, maybe in the first place. But more about that at 12.
I will say even more than that, because I actually did get in touch with Starladder about that a while back when they first made where they missed the first deadline for the event in April or wherever is the first one that they missed. Now they missed the second one as well, which is supposed to be in September next year. And they were effectively saying like they would probably need another exception to be able to run it in a different way than they originally planned in the first place. And if they didn't get it, whatever. Like, I don't know exactly what the plan was, but definitely they, at least already at the time, were not looking to host it in the way that they announced it. So it might have been a tier 2 event instead. I think with everything that we've heard, I just don't think there's going to be a Starladder event next year. And I think Silvio was like confident enough to tweet that because he knew that, because he's heard the same rumors that we have behind the scenes about Starladder or Fisher as well. I mean, there's also been rumblings there that they've been struggling financially even before some of these reports came in. So I'm sure he's well in tune with some of these things.
Yeah, like behind the scenes, the headline is like, we'll we'll do the major and then that's it. Like, who knows how long it'll be before we hear from them again. And I think just based off of my negotiations with them, it feels like they undershot how much things cost in the space now. So, it's a big money business. You've got to. They hadn't run an event since 2019, right? So
it's like the whole thing is so confusing to me, because Nodwin is now fucking the parent company behind Starladder, who bought them after they got awarded the major. They're now hosting events in their name that I don't think have anything to do with the people that are running Starladder, at least. I'm not sure about that 100%, to be fair, but they are hosting events now under the Nodwin name. So what was the point of buying that brand in the first place?
Sure.
All the I don't get it. I don't understand any of it.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what comes out in the wash when we make it to the major, which is fucking 12 days away now. We'll see what happens. Okay, let's keep moving, shall we? We're going to jump into talking about IEM Chengdu. Just came to its conclusion down there in China. Right now, we do have Blast Hong Kong on. We'll get to that. I'm sure people who are watching this are very familiar with the fact that right now, Vitality versus Tyler was still live. Just unfortunate with the timing that they're still going. But yeah, if you're not watching it live.
This was supposed to end like 3 hours ago based on their schedule.
What time in Hong Kong? This is what happens when you do 4 best of 3 today. It is 10:09. 10:09 p.m. Because GMT plus 8, so plus 7 hours, right? Yeah. It's still, there's nothing too crazy just yet. But 4 best of 3s a day, it's a cruel mistress, and they even do accelerated schedule over there. So that's just how she goes. But yeah, let's get into Chengdu. we obviously had FURIA versus Vitality as the best of 5 grand final. It was a team with, I think, 9 or 10 of like the top 10 teams. The only one that would have been missing was likely Aurora, right? Who were doing PGO Bucharest and they weren't going to Chengdu. So it was the most stacked event that we were going to have to close out the year before the major, kind of framing it from like a dress rehearsal perspective to see where most of those names were at in terms of form. Obviously, 7 of the 8 teams at Blast Rivals in Hong Kong were there, but of different degrees, right? Pain, Tyloo. The only one that was the one that wasn't there was Passion UA. So you are getting to see some teams again immediately. Some you probably wouldn't want to be seeing immediately based off of the form you saw in Chengdu, thinking they might need some more practice. We'll get to some of them in a second. But the ones that I'd be interested to see go toe-to-toe again would obviously be Vitality and FURIA, who we had in that best of 5 grand final, was very, very close on all 3 maps. And the headline of the final for me, though, right, there's a lot of fun stuff to dig in from like a Fallen perspective, or for Caserado and Yuri, or there's all fun nuggets there. But the main takeaway from me was the veto, right? And as someone who's been banging on the veto drum in recent times, that I'd love for the live vetoes to be a thing, and maybe change the time from an hour before a match to 15 to 20 minutes before a match. And this would be one of those times where getting to watch the veto unfold in person, as opposed to what we have at an ESL event, which is separate on PCs an hour before the event, would be really fun, right? Because for people who aren't familiar, both these teams perma-ban Ancient. It was best of 5 final. Both teams allowed Ancient into the best of 5 by not banning. There's only one ban round, and then FURIA capitalized on it and picked the map. So for me, that was the most shocking thing of the whole final, because, and I'll explain. Actually, I'll ask you guys, and then I'll explain why I thought that way. But was it as shocking to anybody else, or am I overblowing this? I heard Yanko on the desk. I think him and I were of a similar nature.
So I will say this. It wouldn't have been shocking if Vitality tried to call out FURIA on this, and they were the first ones to ban. And they would be like, okay, we're just going to ban one of your maps, and then so forcing you to ban your permaban instead of the other way around, So I would have understood that part. But then you are literally forcing one of the 5 maps to be Ancient by banning second and not banning it, right? So you are 100% making the decision to play it. If it had been the first, even if you play it, and probably some of these teams know that they've practiced it once or whatever, practiced it before behind the scenes or something like that, they're probably aware of that stuff ahead of time. You don't really get away with just pocket picking maps a lot of the time, to be honest. So it's not that common. So that was the crazy part to me. I will not say anything new here. I 100% agree with Yanko, with you, what the common sentiment is, that Vitality were just not in a position where they needed to take the risk. They just weren't. I don't think their train is that bad either, to feel like you are so under pressure to remove it just so that you can get to play a map you literally haven't played in a single time your entire career if you're Apex. That's kind of crazy to me.
What do you think, bro?
That's the part for me, is like, okay, why do you need to not play train? That's the part that I didn't understand, because it's not that bad. I know that Furious Train is pretty good, but it's not a map that they have no chance on. Like, they've been beating pretty good teams. And so their Chengdu run on train was, they trashed G2 13-4. They got fucked by MOUZ 13-3, and then also 13-11 lost to MOUZ. But they also beat Falcons and EPL, where they had some like pocket little bits with Apex with the wall bangs and stuff that we highlighted before. Like, it's kind of like a 50-50 map for them. Not bad in any way. So that's the part that I don't understand. But then Mezzi actually did an interview where he spoke about it, and actually the angle makes sense to me.
Okay.
What he said is essentially, if we're going to take a risk, this is the time to take the risk. It's a best of 5, so there's a shit ton of maps anyway to play, and let's just try it and set it up for the major. Because as much as Chengdu did have 9 out of 10 top teams, $1 million prize pool, Grand Slam, all of these things, it is not the most important tournament in this 1 month period that they're playing. Even, it is more important than Rivals for sure, but it's way below where the major is. So their thinking was like, we've been playing it a bit, let's throw it out there. If it goes well, it's a huge thing that we can use in the future. And honestly, even though they lost it, the reality of a loss or a win on that map, it's a technical difference, but they didn't play that much worse than FURIA did. Like both of these teams, it could have gone either way, right? So if you really think about it, they have still shown that they can play that map. So it is something they can use in future vetoes. In some ways, it worked out. Obviously, they lost the series, but did they lose the series on Ancient? I don't think so, really.
Okay, so obviously, right, with the coin toss,
let's just counterpoint. If they lost Train 13-11,
yeah,
no one would say anything, right?
No, it would be But
they lost Ancient 13-11, and now that's the problem. Like it's not.
But it's a different conversation, though, right? Like it's. I think the thing is, the angle that I have on it, I'm thinking that they don't. That there's no reason for them to let it in. It doesn't make sense. But if they feel there is a reason, I know you were saying, well, if there's a time to take a risk, this would be it. Well,
I don't think it is. By the way, I disagree with that part as well.
But let's even pretend that is true. You find yourself in a scenario where, like, it's a sign of weakness, in my opinion, right? Like, and either it's weakness that they think they have or weakness that they actually have. But either way, I feel if I'm falling, I feel like I've already won in the veto, right? Like I have.
Did you see the video when they found out?
No.
Okay, that's a cute. Fuck, I wish we could have brought it up. I think it's on Reddit, but it would be just like one of those things. We'd probably be stealing content, which is just the esports thing to do.
Half of Counter-Strike is people post streaming, which is just React content.
It was actually really funny because it was just like, I don't know who said it to Fallen or something that they banned Train instead. And like the confidence that came out of Fallen is like, these guys want to play Ancient? Okay, let's play Ancient. That was literally it. And he was like, Monix, they want to play Ancient. So he was just so confident about it. They were just like, are we going to play it first or third? Like immediately, not even a conversation. It was just like, we're just going to play Ancient. Like, okay, we're just going to do it.
That's the other thing, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be the first map. If FURIA was scared as well, then it could have been the fifth map of the series.
Yeah, they had the first and third take, right? So it would have been early either way.
Yeah, and I think like the thing is, if FURIA had lost that map, it had the potential to blow up in their face and be like, well, fuck. Now we took the gamble and it didn't pay off. Like they have one official on against Saul, like back when the roster was first put together, or no, was it Fisher Playground 1? Maybe either way. They have one. But mate, the thing that I loved about it the most was because it put the game that is the veto on display for people to see, which is normally very rarely a conversation because it rarely factors in. So that was the most fun because the actual match of Counter-Strike itself was just messy, which does make for exciting CS, but Ancient was missed utility central. I don't know if people listen to the cast. I had to start like mentioning missed nades because every round there was like missed nades, like, and just really pedestrian grenades on that map too. So that just shows you like teams who aren't playing it, they're going to be missing this level of util, right? We're missing elbow smokes, like basic Molotovs, all of that not landing. So it's not a polished game of CS. It's essentially a glorified pug with just high-level teams in that moment. I think it was a nice tone setter. I think that, the rabbit hole goes down there when I look at it for Vitality. Why are they why aren't they picking a Dust or a Mirage? Why are they going into an Inferno, right? And we're picking Nuke a bit within that tournament as well. And this is where, for me, I go, okay, I feel like they have a deep map pool. But now after that final, I no longer think that, right? Like their overpass looks pretty mid. If they're like, they feel that their trained T sides were exposed in some of the series they played. So if those maps aren't up to snuff, and then we're now looking down the barrel at we got Mirage, we got Dust 2, we got Nuke. I don't know. It feels like a sign of weakness before the major. It could be a rope-a-dope. It could be, the not we're saving strats, but at the level of activity that you require at this level from a week-to-week basis to come up with new ideas, it must be extremely tiring because that's what this is about now. I think, did you find the video from Reddit?
Yeah, I just found the actual source. It's here. It starts. Okay. I'll just find the exact start.
Oh, it's from Fallen's vlog.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
well,
it starts 1648.
If we give it a plug, I'm sure they won't mind. Did you say 1648?
1648. If we could play it on the stream, I'm sure, for that like half a minute or whatever it is.
Let me copy it. Can we get sound of this, Lucas, or no? Will it play to the viewer at home? This is right there, I think, if I copied that correctly. We won't be able to hear it though when you play it, right? I think we're gonna have to listen to it ourselves. Oh, we will hear it?
Wait, no.
Okay.
So you guys won't be able to hear it, but I'll be able to play it for the viewers.
And they'll be able to hear it.
Yes.
Okay, so when you hit
Just
play, tell us
So
and we'll
when
sync
do
it.
you
This
want
is classic.
it to start?
Are you ready?
When do you want it to start? I didn't catch
When
that
I say
part.
go.
When? Like at the start?
16:48.
16
I thought
48. Okay. Okay. Let me unmute this for viewers. And we should be ready.
3, 2, 1, play.
No.
So Mono is the one who says it. He did a bad ancient, bro.
They removed train. Milex, they want to play ancient, bro.
Let's go. Play ancient.
Let's go. Of course, bro, go. Go.
Want to play first or second? We have team A, so we have played map 1 and 3. 1 and 3, it's ours, so like...
Let's play 1.
Tá rolando sentezinha? Falei não.
Deixaram. Let's go.
Caralho, hein? Que surpresa!
I think we can leave it there. I think it's fine.
Yeah, okay. So just so people understand what's happening in that moment, the way that ESL have it now with the veto, that's Fallen Insider, if people want to check that on YouTube, by the way, is they are doing, Sid is doing the veto on his phone. They have a web portal set up, right, that gets sent to the teams and they do it on their phone. So that's why they're having that conversation. Like the video is literally happening within that moment there, just to give everybody the context of that. And right, yeah, they're surprised as well of it being left open. I think you could, again, the util is very telling of there being very little practice for that. From that moment, both teams had an hour until the game went live. So they're probably set up on stage and start practicing some of their ancient utility for that right there. But this was something I was referencing during the cast as well. The in-game leaders that Apex has beaten all year have been new-gen in-game leaders. Like Chopper would be, I still think Chopper's a new-gen in-game leader, especially when you're comparing to the contrast of Fallen. Like you look, you've got Brolin, you've got Hunter in the G2 jersey, right? You've got Blitz, he's definitely part of the new-gen. Like Chopper might be the only one, and then even still, Chopper's only been having in this notoriety for a short amount of time as an in-game leader anyway. So Apex going up against the old master of Fallen in this, and yeah, the veto, it again, just to me, sign of weakness and concerning for Vitality down the stretch, especially with the result being 3 maps right now against Tyloo and the score being tied up 8-8, and they're on a 4 spy.
That's what I was gonna say with the whole, like, I don't even agree this is the time to risk. No, this was not this was the worst time to risk, if anything. Like, you're costing your self-confidence heading into the major, and like if you had picked up that win, obviously, you know, it's not just about Ancient and they ended up losing. They would have been down 1-2 even if they won Ancient and would have been in a bad position to win the series anyway, right? So like it's not like that was the only thing that decided it, but obviously you're putting yourself on the back foot from the beginning of the best of 5, right? And so doing that in the lead up to the major, where you've already been in this position where you were missing just that 5% to win another final or win another tournament, and you're taking that 5% away from yourself by forcing a map that you haven't played literally ever in an official, you know, that's where I don't really agree with the whole mindset of, yeah, we can now take the risk because the major, like, we're not going to do it at the major, we're going to do it now. No, you could have done it in a fucking upper group.
Well, they did
game,
float
you know,
it last time, right? In the quarterfinals at EPL, which was like a month ago at the time of the match going on.
Right.
Still, the way the video went there was they both floated in the first phase. Like FURIA removed us 2 then, and Vitality removed Train.
Yeah, but in a best of 3, you usually expect just whoever has the second ban is just going to end up having to ban it for the decider. Like nobody
did. Yeah.
Like that's just what happens. Like every time when you have 2 teams having the same permaban, neither of them bans it first, because why would you? Like, unless there is a pocket pick, unless you'd really want to go into chaos, you just have that understanding that whoever's going to be the second in the veto is just going to have to end up banning it anyway. And so it's just how it works. But in the best of 5, that's obviously different.
Yeah, so I think it continues to build on the story that Vitality, like as we know, they've only won 1 trophy this season. I say only. They've consistently been a top 4 event at every top 4 team at every event that they've attended. So that within itself just shows that their quality is still there, but they're unable to find the finish like they used to. And the fact that this time they lose 3-0, right? This is the first grand final of the year. It was the second grand final they lost, so the first they've lost in this fashion. The other one they lost to G2 in London, which was back and forth in the best of 5. It went all 5 maps. This one, all the maps were close, right? So we're not disregarding that. It was 13-11, 13-10, 13-11. But just from like an overall standpoint, the video conversation to put a bow on it just is signs of weakness over there.
Yeah.
Now, when you unpack this, you need to do, when you're looking at both sides of it, FURIA played very well. They had players who were sick at different points throughout the tournament. Fallen's tweeting one day he has a kidney problem. You're hearing that Yuri has like an eye infection or something along those lines, has to go into hospital. Yakinda had a spew bucket on stage for a couple of the games. So throughout the course of the event, definitely not in the best health. We even had Hunter while he was there. He had to go to hospital, was unable to play their qualification game against Vitality. So there was some sick players.
Did we ever figure out what happened? Or
no, I'm not sure what happened with Hunter. I never heard. So yeah, there was a bit of that going on. But either way, FURIA still played like a MVP for MongolZ, right? He's looking great. Just with the closeness of it, this Fallen, right? I just want to point this out for everybody. He may have ended the series with a 0.92 rating and only 35 kills. In essentially 3 maps that went all the rounds. Inferno's the only one. There's 1 round short. Fallen had clutches in each of the maps.
Yep.
Right.
He had key points as well. I mean, where it was a swing round, or just like not decided effectively, but there was a big swing round in every occasion, basically.
Yeah, the one on Ancient, he had that like 2v1 against I think it was like Flames and maybe it was Mezzi. I forget who the other player was, or maybe it was ropz on the B side of Ancient, retaking late in the game when the score was like 11-9. And they hadn't won many CT-sided rounds at all there, so that was really important. He had one on Inferno that they did lose to Tech9s after, but they didn't, right? They only got 5 rounds on their CT side, and one of them was a Fallen clutch. It came down to a 1v1 against ropz, but essentially it was around where he found the timing pushing down Banana, and Case Rider was Porch. And I think he got 2 kills in that skirmish or whatever, but Fallen had to clutch in a 1v1. And then the other one on Overpass, there was a 1v1 against Zywoo, I think it was, on the A site. With an MP9, and like all of these like impact rounds from Fallen in a close game, they make a big difference, right? So some big moments from him throughout that. But Yakinda had a great final. MongolZ was fantastic throughout. I think Yuri, in terms of being an anchor player and the roles he played, like everything functioning at a high level for them. And obviously it's building on the trophies. They won TWC before that, Fisher Playground 2, and then one of this caliber now. In my opinion, they went from being like a dark horse to now a team who's in contention, because there's a lot of other teams who have been doing a lot to disqualify themselves from conversation and contention.
It's true.
Whereas FURIA have gone the other way, right? Like Spirit, they're dropping out of conversation.
Let's talk about Spirit in a bit. I mean, just to add on to Fallen, like you said, like 0.92 rating, it's like, that's actually not bad for an IGL. But when you look at his 50 ADR, then he's been doing a lot of the other things that bring impact, because also going in first, getting traded, going into situations where you're probably going to die, just to set up the rest of the team, and the clutches as well were really good. And he's just making plays that he never did before because he was opping. And I don't know, I think no one expected this FURIA. In every tournament, we have to go back and be like, we were all wrong. And I don't think they could have expected it to go this well. Like, obviously, they picked up MongolZ as like, okay, Yakindar coming in was kind of a situation, wasn't even their first plan. It was like Yakindar's agent being like, hey, maybe add this guy. So it's not like when they came into this, like, we're going international, they had this like perfect
master
overview
plan.
Of what they're, it turned out to be a master plan, and we were all wrong. And I'm giving them respect for that. But I also expect Fallen to be like, okay, if he's IGLing, he needs to be in active spots on CT side. He's not doing that. He's anchoring, and he's doing that actually really well. And Yakindar is the guy that came in and is working perfectly. And we all know that he has that side to him, but that also didn't work out that well in Liquid. So we're like, how is this going to work in a Brazilian team, right? With a super young rookie? Turns out working great. So it's just a crazy combination that everything fit in to make a system that makes sense. And will they be the number one team next year? That's a whole different situation. But just the fact that they are a major contender now, that's just a fact.
I think there's something that's curious with what you're talking about right there in terms of like the way that Yakinda works with Fallen, etc. From a bigger picture, also the mixture of players, right? Because if you look at them each in isolation, you can understand why there is such what you need is teams to be on the same page, and this team clearly has the hunger to win. Right? You have Yakinda, who's looking to kind of vindicate himself from the poor form that happened within Liquid, and probably a time for not all of it, but some of it that I'm sure that he would have loved to have gone differently. Then you have Fallen, who right is he wants to go out on a high, I'm pretty sure, and we've been talking about Fallen retiring for what, like the last 5 years now. But
he said it again too, of course. Did you see it? Did you see the last comment that he made?
Well, I don't remember it exactly, but yeah, right.
The last dance was in 2021. That was under 22, right? That 22, was 3-4 years ago that he was last dancing, still going on. Longest party of all time.
Then you've got cadiaN and Yuri, who, while they're class players, have never really had the level of success that players of their quality should or could have had. So they've been, and they're also franchise players of FURIA. So for them to get those results probably means a lot, because that's like essentially their family in the Counter-Strike world. So for those two to be heading in that direction, finally, you can tell the hunger for them is there. And then MongolZ, who's a rookie, right, and is in his first year, and he's such a nice lad. He's always walking around with his smile on his face. You know that he's 20 years of age. You can tell that he's just in so much joy just being there and getting to go out on the server and show the type of Counter-Strike he's showing. So everybody's pointed in the same direction as far as their hunger is concerned, and right, what they want to deliver. This isn't like someone on the back nine or someone looking to get on a better team or whatever. This is all players who are looking to have the best output, and that's essentially in my mind what the perfect storm is at the moment for them, because 3 trophies, best of 5s, you can measure them differently. I think the TWC one is a weird one. It was against NAVI in the final, right? And they had to reverse sweep it. And all of the maps were blowouts within that series. None of those maps were close. Whereas this one was very close. And if some of those clutches, Apex won some clutches too, to be fair, didn't go the way that they went, then you feel like that series could have gone the other way. At least deeper. I wanted it to go 5. I was like, I want us to have a nice back and forth here, but we didn't get that out of it. This is where the other side is. Our normal expectation of players like MOUZ were not met throughout the course of the tournament. Had some key rounds, sure, but wasn't as reliable in anchor positions on the CT side, where you're like, okay, yeah, you need MOUZ to get 2 in this situation. He wasn't doing that. I think Flames was great. He had some really hot patches. I think ropz was good overall besides the final. I think Zywa was good in the final as well, but just kind of like some key moments on Inferno that went against them.
Inferno was really bad from ropz.
Yeah, especially as the A anchor. There's something that's, I think, interesting with the way that FURIA approach these situations. They're happy to wait as well a lot on their CT sides. They're not doing these they are doing re-aggressors, right? But they're not doing it all the time. I think a conversation I remember having with them at an event earlier in the year was them saying, I think it was Yakinda who was saying, like, their focus being, let's get better at actually like holding our sights and not having to pair up and re-aggress and just being able to deliver the kills, right? Which sounds so reductive and ridiculous to say, but in the modern meta of how the CTs are macroing around the map, you can get what he means. Like, if you're holding a bomb site and you can get 2 when another team needs to pair up to go 1 for 1, like you're in a strong spot. Back your individuals, right? Back your position, and that feels like something that's definitely high up in FURIA's game. But
I think if you want to be consistent, you have to be good at just holding a bomb site, right?
Yeah.
Because you can't always be reaggressing and making the right move on the map. Like, sometimes you'll just have to hold. I think that's like the G2 success earlier in the year versus FURIA now. I think one thing also, like Sid as the coach, again, a guy I had no expectations from. Actually, I'm pretty sure I was like completely down on the idea of this guy taking over. It was like, what is he coming from, FURIA Academy or something? He was assistant before. But he fits into this lineup as well perfectly, because they have Falcon and Yakinda, who are like so macro heavy. And he was talking in the interview, actually, check it out, from Hong Kong now, that now he can just focus on the individuals and work more with MongolZ, with cadiaN and Yuri. Yeah, I think Yuri being in the position that he is now is perfect, because I think we are all maybe over-exaggerating how good he was, being like Yuri and cadiaN, when I think cadiaN is on a different level. And having expectations that both of them need to be on that level all the time is just not realistic. And where he is now is just suits him better. Like, he doesn't need to rely on game in, game out to be some insane fragger. He can just do his job, chill
be like
there
an
in the corner
anchor now, basically, like instead of being the star.
Yes, and I think that's something that's also allowing them to unlock this higher level.
Yeah. Well, they played against Pain today. There was one question that I had written down here. So they just got past Pain. It's a series that went 3 maps, and I wrote this down. And I'd be curious. I should have asked this before we started talking about them. But either way, if FURIA had lost to Pain today, do you think it would have sullied the conversation we are having about them today?
No, not for me.
Okay. Well, I just like I said, I should have. I guess we already spoke about it, right? But I don't know. I just was watching it because like Vitality are playing right now and struggling as well. And someone in chat said, "Oh, they still hung over or whatever." This is one of the things of having events, back to back, and the amount of time to prep.
There was an interesting after party, but I only saw the Falcons players, so I don't know.
I didn't go to the party. I did see, like, was it with Kyosuke on the megaphone and Monacy out there, right? Yeah.
Just talking about Vitality still, just want to touch one thing while you're still on the final. I was actually Omega tilted by Apex on overpass on the CT side.
He's giving away a lot of deaths on A,
2 or 3 rounds on A where he just threw, I don't know. I understand it's the IGL brain of trying to get information, try to almost make it that there's like 2 guys there or something, but it's like 20-30 seconds left. You're on the A bomb side. Just try to, and he was having a good game individually. He wasn't one of those games where you're like 3-15, so you need to make a ridiculous play to try to keep the round afloat. Just like hold an angle and get 1 kill. That's like, maybe if you get 2 kills, you're winning the round. I have no idea why he felt like he needed to do everything.
He was trying to do too much.
2 rounds in a row, he just died without even firing a bullet, pretty much. And then the game ended up lost 13-11. And I'm thinking back, like the rounds that cost you in the end, it could have ended up like a 13-5 win for Vitality there. They just like finished the CT side like 10-2 or something, and win the pistol is GG.
Yeah.
And
I mean, that was the theme for the whole final, to be honest. I mean, I think every map, Vitality were at one point in a position where I think they were favorites to win the map, because it was 11-8 on Ancient until FURIA went on the 5-round streak. Then it was 10-11 on Inferno, but like off the back of a 3-round streak from Vitality where FURIA were literally on the verge of being broken and having kind of one last buy to try to turn it around. And then obviously 8-4 on overpass, but it should have been a better CT side, So they actually lost this final in the way that they usually win games.
Sure,
like
that's a good framing.
Even if you look at the MOUZ game just before that, it was exactly the opposite. Where MOUZ were just letting out in the last moments. Where you needed to make the right play at the right time. When it goes crunch time, Vitality did do the exact right thing in the right moment, and it was exactly the opposite. Now it was FURIA who was making all the right moves, and Vitality who actually looked a little bit under pressure, to do things instead of just being the solid team that we've seen for such a long time now for the whole year, right? So that was the weird part for me, where it's really, for me, it was really fun, and I kind of attribute this to the aura of Fallen and just him being really calm in all these situations. When it goes down to crunch time, you never see Fallen look erratic or frustrated with something. He will always be like straight on to the next round, like what's happening now, and like steering the ship in a super calm fashion, and that's the difference in leadership between those two teams as well, because where Fallen will do that, Apex will obviously be the diametral opposite, where he's going to be frustrated. He's going to be like, what the fuck are we doing? We should be doing this, right? And it's not to say that that's the wrong thing to do or that's the right thing to do in every moment. It's just curious to see how those two are in a complete clash with one another.
Something that we like, because I did a lot of the Vitality games throughout the course of that event. Some of the things, especially in the closer games, I did both of the MOUZ series, and a lot of the listeners were like, we're not listening to each other, we're not connecting on the server. Heard that a lot, right? That was a common sentiment throughout the course of a lot of their games. And maybe we can dig deeper on that because, sure, they won EPL and they beat Falcons 3-0 there, and they've been consistently making top 4. No one's saying the conversation for this is framed in the terms of how are they winning the trophy or how they're not winning the trophy, right? And they obviously haven't been winning anywhere near as many trophies as they had been. The Astralis record, they can only tie it now. They'd have to win here in Hong Kong, and then they have to win the major. In terms of the Grand Slam, they could have had another notch, and then they could have won it in Krakow to win another $1 million. Sure, it wouldn't have been 2 in a calendar year, but still a lot. And in terms of the reason I point these things out, you've just had the greatest season of any Counter-Strike team ever. You're going to be in the conversation as one of the greatest Counter-Strike teams of all time. It just, will you be behind Astralis, and where will you come behind that? And when people want to get into the history books for that. But all of these things I'm mentioning should be goals that would motivate you as a team, right? Because you've done it. You win the major. You've already won a lot of trophies. You won a lot of MVPs. You've had your period of dominance. But the thing is, as a team, I'd imagine you're always looking for waypoints and extra things to keep it going. And right now, for whatever reason, right, whether it's, teams have caught up in terms of their approach to the game, and they're no longer the ones who are setting the meta of the macro, then they're lacking whatever it is to get them across the line. Now, Duncan made a tweet. I'm going to paraphrase it, but the second part of it, though, was to do with the bracket is going to decide a lot for the major. And it's bang on there. It's something that normally we don't talk about until we get there, and everyone goes, oh, this side of the bracket's fucking stacked. But I think he's bang on, because the point that needs to be discussed here is when we do have this final Swiss stage, stage 3, teams either going 3-0, 3-1, or 3-2 is going to have direct outcome on where they're going to be placed in the bracket, right? And if we get certain matchups, for example, like Falcons, they seem to be struggling, against the X opponent, but they can beat Y opponent. MOUZ can beat these guys, but they lose to these guys.
Like Falcons v Spirit, being one of the big ones,
exactly.
For example.
Yeah, and all of this, right, it could determine so many different results of outcome that could happen within the bracket of the major. It's no longer like, I think this one team will run the side of the bracket regardless. There's certain teams which are going to put up a little bit more resistance than others. FURIA are the ones with the best result at the moment, right, in terms of streak that they have going. And they lost to MOUZ, right? MOUZ is the team that they lost to in the group stage. It was in the seeding game. But otherwise, if you take a look, they've been taking series off all of the best teams in the world over the last couple of month run that they've been on. So from that angle, you look and you go, okay, yeah, well, they're in that chat. But then Vitality, okay, well, the same deal. But are they going to be on the same side of the bracket? Are they going to be opposite sides of the bracket? They're going to have massive ramifications on who ends up lifting that trophy. So, the going 3-0 in Swiss feels like it's going to be hugely important. If there's another team that you are fearful of, you're also going to want them to go 3-0, so they're on the other side, right? So that you don't have to worry or hope that somebody else knocks them out on the run or whatnot. So a lot there, but Vitality are by no means out of the conversation. And I think for the major is where they're going to they do Hong Kong right now, then they're going to have essentially 2 weeks off to prepare for the major, right? So yeah, hopefully we get a more connected version of them. Them underperforming is not a reason I think they lost. It's just the reason that some of the rounds maybe went the other way, like the little details, right?
I'm curious, just last thing on Vitality is do you think this is just complete speculation, random theory, but do you think there might be a difference in motivation and desire to hit these records from Apex, for example, versus the rest of the team? Because when we hear we want to match Apex, Astralis's records and stuff like that, that's usually it's Apex saying this, and I believe him 100% that he wants to do that. But for the rest of the team, I don't feel like they're all super young. They have their careers are 5 to 10 years at least coming. But I don't feel like everyone else is on the same level he is, and maybe that's where some of the for them it's just another tournament, and for Apex is I want to be better than those guys that were fucking dominating me for 3 years, and I want to put myself there. And he has this level of motivation, and they're 50%. It's just it's a good tournament.
With there's saying something, and then there's believing the thing that you're saying, right? And having the follow through with it. So, and that could very well be true. That would be a shame, because when you think about it, right, to be in a team like this, achieving the results they were achieving, and the conversation around it, that's once in a lifetime. Even if it is, some great players like your Zywas, like your ropz's, right? ropz, obviously, we've seen in different rosters finding success, but maybe not to the same degree in a short span of time. Well, definitely not to the same degree. So, when you've captured lightning in that bottle, you'd hope as a competitor that you'd want to keep running with it. Obviously, your opponents are going to get better over time, right? That's something that's clearly happened. And we spoke about a lot of teams gearing up. Now, FURIA did it before the break. They gave themselves an extra couple of months lead time, and they've also had that major quarterfinal. So they've had some good results, some mid results back and forth, and now they've found a bit of consistency. Yeah, this is the thing. There's a lot that goes into this, and there's probably us getting to the bottom of it. That's going to be the tough part. Okay, let's keep moving along. We can talk more about Vitality and FURIA because they're also a blast, but I'm dragging the heels a little bit today.
I thought it barely won 2v5 to recover Inferno.
Yeah, that's a 13-11 loss against Tyler. They got blown out on Nuke, which they picked 13-4. So
11 win versus Tyler. You said loss.
Me or him? Me?
You said loss. Yeah.
They had a 13-11 win, a 13-4 loss though. They lost Nuke 13-4 the second map. I probably did misspeak. I'm fucking fried.
Just wanted to have it correct for the viewers and also audio listeners at home. Shout out to them.
We love them. What are the odds, Prof? This week we're getting into what are the odds brought to everybody by Stake. Now, what are the odds? What's the topic of discussion?
Yes, we have a simple topic this time. We spoke about this a bit before, but it is: will Fallen finish the year undefeated in BO5s?
Okay, so there's two assumptions that needs to happen here. You're either going to assume that he wins the major or that he doesn't make the major grand final.
Yes, there's also
the live rivals. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, true. Okay, so you're going to have to assume that he doesn't make the final of either of those events,
or that
he wins both,
or wins either one of those. It doesn't make.
Obviously, he's had this crazy run of BO5 since 20. What is it? He lost
16 maybe.
Yeah, and then 110 since then or so.
It was like 13, wasn't it?
I should probably have written this down if I brought this up, but I guess not. I guess not. Not gonna do that.
It is a lot and one. That's all you need to know.
What Striker is saying about like the way they won of some of these, like there's the Falcons one as well. They had a turnaround there, right, on train. It's just something about him that gives you confidence that if he's in these situations, that means the team is pretty good, if you get to a final. But then if you're in the final, bro's going to win them. That's just how it is.
It is 13 in a row. So Fallen is on a 13-0 win streak, and best of 5 finals. His only loss was in 2016. I love how he's only lost in 2016, but there's a massive void between
4 years where you didn't make one.
Yeah, so there is the Alyssa Masters Espo so that does, but still, it's probably not of the same caliber as something like a fucking Cologne finals against Cloud9.
It still speaks to something, right? I mean, there's still, yeah.
Well, I think they have two of their strongest maps are two bogey maps in the pool for a lot of other teams. You feel like if you're going to be able to get either overpass or train, right? Yeah. So they do have some nice pressure points to apply in the veto. Okay, so we need to all add odds to this. The people at home who are viewing right now on Kick, you get to have your say in a Kick poll. I can see the votes being populated right now. So two of the key factors you have to keep in mind that I was just talking about for this week's What Are the Odds is, do you think he's going to make both finals, one final, and then do you think he's going to win it? So if I broke it up, it's going to be pretty low that he's going to, I guess though, because they could not make it. So then that's possible.
I mean, it's got to be pretty high if anything, yeah.
33.3% for me.
Okay, that's pretty low.
I'm just using the basic logic of this, and it's not even really logic. 33% chance he doesn't make both finals. 33% chance he does make both finals and win them. And then 33% chance of something else. So,
but he makes one
66. Isn't that 66 then? Yeah, because in 2 out of 3 of those...
you're right. 66% Lucas. Fuck, thank God's props here. Yeah, maths was never my strong suits. Shout out to Mr. Bremner. No way, that was my media teacher.
91%.
Holy shit!
Honestly, I don't see him losing. I don't think they're gonna lose if they go to the final. That's just how it is.
That's a very high. So if they get to the final, you think they're gonna win?
Yeah, but the likelihood.
So they're your favorite going into the major.
Not the same thing. That's not the same thing.
Yeah, fair.
The likelihood of them getting to the final of the major is 30%, maybe 20%.
Okay,
probably somewhere around that.
So most likely they're not going to get to the major, which makes it 80% already. Well, I mean, Yeah.
And then he also has a really good chance of actually winning it if he does. So that's, I get it. I'm 100% behind it.
Are you that high though, Striker?
I was going to go with
he's not high, I think. I think he's sober.
Slightly. I was going to go with like 80.
Okay.
On a very similar basis to what Prof was saying, and that's they're in statistical terms they're relatively unlikely to make a final, especially at the major. I think Rivals is obviously going to be a better chance, so that already gives us like a high percentage chance for him to just keep it undefeated, because he has been undefeated up until now, and it could be he makes neither of them, or there's a very good chance that he doesn't make either of them. And I think whichever one he makes, he's actually probably over 50% chance to win it. So I'm pretty high.
Okay. All right. I'm more in line with Twitch chat. I'm the lowest of the bunch. So for this week's What Are the Odds, brought to you by Stake. The outcome being $1.32 if yes, and $4.17 if no. So you guys will get to have your vote on X/Twitter, as well as, do we do Instagram? Is there an Instagram poll? There is an Instagram poll.
I don't know. I don't think there's any polls anymore, to be honest. It's just vibes. We're just doing it for vibes.
Oh, we like vibes. Okay. Well, good luck with your vibes, everybody. Prof's a big vibe fan. He's been vibing for many years, and you guys get to do it at home as well. So we'll wait and see the outcome of that one. I thought it was going to be, what are the odds Fallen retires if he wins the major? Right, that is it. The think about the outcome of that one.
He's never retiring.
He's never retiring. Yeah, okay.
Just so what I was saying earlier, that he said, of course, I'm just going to paraphrase it because somebody said it, and I believe that somebody said it because Fallen actually said it. So I hope he actually said it. It must have been in that fucking blog as well. I would find it. So he said to MOUZ something like, "You can't go crazy yet because I haven't retired yet. Like, you can go crazy when I retire. Like, you can go and over peak and everything, but right now you just have to be very sensible with how you play."
Okay.
So that was just very funny. It was just like another hit at him retiring in the near future, which we've been hearing for 3.5 years, as Prof was saying. So yeah.
All right, let's keep the show going. Let's jump into a bit more conversation broader about the happenings, what went on in Chengdu. So I don't know. Like, we've got the Mongols with controlez, who was playing at the event, and they made it to the playoffs, which I think was an overperformance. But I also think that their group, which was Group A, was the weaker of the two. Probably also based on the fact the whole Senzu thing. Now, I did see like a sentiment on the internet that's like, like, look, they're still good. People thought that, they don't know how to play Counter-Strike anymore. It's like, no, that's not what I think. I think that Counter-Strike...
Honestly, this Counter-Strike they were playing, questionable. A lot of the rounds were very questionable. I don't know what I was watching. I don't remember the game. I just remember Dust 2 force buys, which made no sense half the time. Of course, one half of them anyway, maybe even 70% of them. Just like controlez on the Deagle getting like 3 kills. Okay, let's say that is also a form of Counter-Strike.
It is.
I wouldn't say the best form of Counter-Strike I've seen, but if it works, you can't fault it too much.
Yeah, I put a lot of stock into, a certain amount of time and working with a fifth and building out your playbook and understanding how everyone's going to play off of each other and everything like that. And also the X factor of a player like Senzu. So for me, the fact that MongolZ did make the playoffs was a surprise. They did end up losing in the playoffs to FURIA in 2 maps. And on their home map of Mirage, they got blown out of the water 13-5, which doesn't fill anybody with great confidence. But those results, Prof, and based off of what you're watching, are you just going with more of an angle of, just a bit of a honeymoon, or they can win if everyone's on point? Like, do you expect, are they a threat for you? Are they a contender for the major trophy?
No. Like, guys, playoffs max for me. I don't think I'm not that sold. Obviously, controlez, he started insane. He had like a 1.30, 1.44. I don't know. The first game was insane. He kind of fizzled out as things, continued. He's much better than I expected. And people are like, oh, no, obviously he was stepping up. He wasn't. What are you talking about? Just look at all of the Mongolian players. He was not even the top half of, fragging in any capacity. But they seem to have embraced even more of that, like, Mongolian CS style, just Mongolian Deagles. They're insane. That's it. And I think they're vibing. They know it's not ideal. So the vibes are good. The reality is they're huge underdogs, and I don't think they would be like a realistic contender for the major.
I think it's an easier place to talk about that as well because they lost to Passion UA today. Now that was a close series, but they won their map. Well, sorry, they won the first map of Passion. UA's pick overpassed 16-14, but then Passion went on to win the next two, 13-11, 13-11 on Inferno and Nuke. But that also
as a professional podcaster, did you wake up at 3 a.m. to watch this game?
No, last night I went as I was unpacking and doing all the laundry and doing that. I was like, oh, let's just go lay on the bed for a second. That's cool. Like, just be vertical. That'll be nice. You haven't done that because of all the travel. You've been taking 30 hours to get from Chengdu back to Malta. Just, treat yourself. Just lay down for a second. Just see what the bed's like. It might be nice. And then the next thing I know, it was 5:30 a.m. And I had been asleep all that time, and I thought, fuck it, let's really make the most of this. Closed my eyes, went back to sleep to 8:30. So no, I missed it. I did miss it.
I thought this was heading to I woke up at 3 because I went to sleep at 6 or whatever it is.
Nah, I needed the sleep. I wasn't sleeping very well at all during Chengdu. So, but yeah, so that was their result to start today. Striker, do these guys fall out of contention for you in the major conversation?
I mean, they're obvious. I said it before, even that I didn't think they were going to be that terrible. I mean, just they still have a lot of depth individually outside of Senzu, even if he was the main one consistently, right? Obviously, I didn't expect controlez to actually be competitive to this level. I think he only had a couple of really bad games. Otherwise, he's been up there. I mean, he's been fragging. It's been completely fine. That's
the thing though, right? Like, there's more to a Counter-Strike team than the guy just getting numbers from kills. Look, I think Pro's bang on. If they can all just go, all right, every round, each player take a turn getting a 3K. It's like, yeah, you can be doing that. How reliable
they did do that
is
a lot,
that, right?
To be fair, even as the previous Mongols, right? They were just taking turns a lot. Of course, again, Senzu was the most consistent at it, but it's not like he was the superstar of the team in any way. I mean, they constantly had these moments where, Blitz would have a couple of rounds per game, and then just they would take turns all the time. And I mean, we saw that a lot even in this case, right? I didn't expect controlez to be part of that conversation whatsoever. But that's about it. I mean, I only watched the Spirit game, so I didn't watch that much of Mongols, but it was enough, to be honest.
We'll wait and see if they recover. If they beat Spirit again, right? I still think that's going to say more about.
Surely not.
I still think that's going to say more about Spirit than it is about the Mongols. But either way, they play against Spirit tomorrow in Blast Rivals Hong Kong. So everyone wants to wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning to watch that. You're more than welcome. So we'll monitor the situation carefully. Falcons. I asked this question in the group, and this was the first final all year with this type of format, where a team they don't want to say they auto-birth to semis, but they win their way to semis, right? Through the group stage game, where both teams in the grand final came from quarterfinal matchups. It was the first time all year. The first time since, you said, what was it, Rio 2024, right, Striker? Yep. So it had been some time in this type of format, and now Blast have embraced this format as well, so it's been happening more this year than maybe it normally would too. So yeah, that was an interesting little tidbit. But Falcons were great in groups. m0NESY was getting a 4K every pistol round I cast, and they were winning. It was like, oh, they can win pistols, yeah, as long as Ilya gets a 4K. But I did their first game of the event, and they all looked super sharp. Everybody was on point, not missing a beat, nothing was going wrong. And then they get into this game, and they don't have Ancient against FURIA, right? They didn't have Ancient in that veto, and you can see how much it hurts them, because they are probably the best Ancient team in the world right now. With how that they approach the map, and their CT side is very strong. But if Ancient's out of the pool, it can really, really hurt Falcons. And then
especially with their Inferno being kind of very dodgy at the moment. So,
well, yeah, that's the other thing, right? It's okay. It's one thing losing to Inferno all the time to MOUZ and Vitality, but now if it's you just lose Inferno to everybody, it doesn't matter who it is, that is a real issue there. So this is where, again, returning to that conversation of the bracket for the major, if they're at a bracket where they're able to get Ancient in a lot of those games, then yeah, I don't see a reason why they can't, because it's going to equal out the playing field 1-to-1 in that stretch. But yeah, any new feelings or movements, opinions on Falcons? It's just more of the same.
Absolutely, they're at not the same as MOUZ, but the same story as MOUZ. What we expect from MOUZ, we get from MOUZ. What we expect from Falcons, we get from Falcons. Now they're super hot start. Kind of reminds me of Fisher, where it's oh my god, they're all insane, and then just at some point in the playoffs, semifinal, grand final, is just oh. No one's insane anymore, and now they're out, and that's it. And pretty annoying, honestly, pretty annoying tendency to watch, but also must be for them. We did have a interview. I don't know if it came out. Did it come out with Zonic?
Oh yeah,
yeah, it's out. Yeah,
now.
Yeah, where he spoke about the players that are really good and have a big ego that want to make plays. When they make plays and they're on point, everything's working great. But again, paraphrasing, sometimes they lose a duel and then they're stubborn about it. They're like, nah, I'm going to get him next time.
Peak again, yeah.
Next round, they die again, and then things got out of hand. So it was interesting because it is kind of throwing a bit of shade on your players. But I think if you're a coach, you kind of
got to hold them accountable somehow, don't you?
Yeah, you need to use an interview sometimes like this to put it out there, to put that pressure on the players to do the right thing in the round, because you can't talk during the round. You can only talk before. And in some points, it's also like, obviously, if you're a Zonic hater and be like, well, you should have implemented these protocols before. This is your job to tell them to not overpeak, but you can't
hold their mouse.
You can't make them not overpeak, right? So it's an interesting comment from Zonic, like putting it out there that, he doesn't really agree with some of the things happening in certain rounds or certain parts of the game, and that they're still kind of figuring out when they need to lock in and go back, because it is the same story for the Nico m0NESY duo, obviously also destroying Spirit, nothing new, but also having this super hot fire streak and then losing. And this is maybe why they also had so much success in like Blast events. Most of their tournament wins. Obviously, they won Cologne and Katowice as well, not taking that away. But like the shorter tournaments where they can just power through on like a hot hand is where they win. And then some of these other tournaments that are super long, where you need to play 5, 6, 7 BO3s, is they just have one where they lose, and then they even win the third place decider. Has this happened at EWC as well? Yeah, and it happened here. They won against MOUZ. So it's an interesting outlook, and I think to me it makes a lot of sense. I can get behind it. Doesn't sound like a PR, made up answer to protect your job.
It makes a lot of sense, right? Because I mean, it's also something that he's talking about in the interview. Is the usual mindset of the team is obviously you want the individuals to have the freedom to make the moves, right? Because you have the individuals to do that, but then if it's not working, do you have the team play to fall back on? Because there's also 2 other guys who can do that. It's not just like one superstar that you're working around, and if that guy's not hitting, then like somebody can take over. No, it's 3 guys who are taking turns trying to make all the or like take all the space, make all the moves. But if 2 of them are not hitting, then you don't really have the team play aspect to fall back on. So it's a bit difficult.
More than that though, bro. Like this is what I speak about with MOUZ in terms of like the similarities. Prof's talking about
as in,
the same
like the
thing.
pressure part of it.
No, not the pressure. Like you're talking about, right? If you have players who are going for this and they're not doing it, that more players can step up to it. Or
no, I'm actually saying the opposite, where they will keep going for it, but they just don't have anything else to fall back on if that doesn't work.
Yeah, but what this is, and again, this is where my issue with MOUZ is if you're going to have Exertion and Torji calling their shot every round, which when they're on looks great, when they're not looks the opposite, it doesn't allow the in-game leader to get the flow of the game established. What you want to be is you want to be a facilitator. You want to allow this when you have to, and you want to be able to pull the strings in the other cases. Now, because if you can never build into a game, and probably this is now on the head with the sentiment that I think we all have here, you let m0NESY, you let Kyosuke, you let Nico, whatever rounds they want to go for a couple of these, well, there's already half the half gone, right? And if you're not converting, and you haven't been like, oh, but guys, I really wanted to condition this part of the map, but you had a spawn, so you went for this fight, and then we had to play out a 4v5 fucking 15 seconds into the round. It's like, fuck, right? You never got to like test their rotations, force them into any traps. You never got to do any of those things because you've allowed your players to make their moves, and your players, for lack of a better phrasing, have let you down, right? You allow your stars to go for the moves because they can do these things. But if they can't do it, you can't expect them to do it every time. But they need to be doing it more than 50%. Otherwise, you wouldn't be letting them go for it. But then it's also hard because in practice, are we letting our players practice going for moves? Or are we practicing going through macro Counter-Strike, take this space without a casualty, be able to push them off this line, react to the information we have? And that's an issue that I think a couple of teams in Counter-Strike have at the moment. But the game it's shifting a little bit, I think, at the moment. MC works for ESL. He's like context observer, does like coding of the stuff, the HUD and stuff over there. What's his birthday today? Happy birthday, MC. He made a tweet like post-event, and what did he say? The game, and I like MC a lot, and he also plays a lot of Counter-Strike, and it has a good understanding. He says the game is in a pretty interesting spot now, tactically speaking. Really rewards predetermined counterplay over purely testing the limits of mid rounds, right? Like, so I thought that was an interesting take, right? Because there's so much activity within rounds at the moment, but how you've spoken about the theory of how we're going to react to a certain thing happening is the winning or losing move within the round. It's like, we're going to do this. This is our opener. They're going to react like this. And then we have a counterplay to react to that. And if we're able to be direct and win out that fight, then that's the moment that kind of wins the round. I think Inferno, if you put it in a microcosm in terms of like, okay, they're going to throw 3/4 smoke and they're going to throw half wall molly. And then once that fades, as that's fading, we're going to throw sandbag molly and mouth banana molly and fight for car and half wall. It's like, but then if they have the counter of throw out a half wall smoke with a car molly, we're going to extinguish and react and pop in a B and catch them off guard because then the open. Like, it's like that layer of the game now is fucking nuts. And those things have to be called blindly but reactionary out of spawn, because you can't react to everything in a moment. You need to kind of have a general flow and be able to react with almost in that moment of it happening. But it's going to be either way.
I mean, Inferno is probably
crazy.
the most. It's funny that you say that about Inferno and then Falcons being kind of dodgy on the map. It makes a lot of sense if you think about it, because that is the most predetermined move map I think we have in the pool by far. And it's also because you just have to gamble so much as a CT in a lot of, or well, I guess you do, just because, I mean, it just takes like one kill on the right side of the map and you just lose the round, right? Because it's impossible for you to take it back, right? So all of it is about predetermined moves and like how the starters and all that stuff. A lot of it is, at least anyway. I mean, obviously, you know, certain situations are going to go to 2v2s and it gets to like a really like grimy late rounds and all these things that will just happen no matter what. But a lot of the starting moves, they are by far the most predetermined on Inferno out of any map.
Yeah, so I Falcons, the needle hasn't moved, but they're still in the like any given Sunday where the capability of this team, if they're playing their A game over the course of a playoff weekend at a major, they can win it. That like there's no doubt, right? But that means that they have to hit that stride and stay with it, which appears to be the issue. Maybe they need a Al Pacino type coach in their life to help them get through. I watched the movie on the plane. Haven't seen it in a while. Great film. Cameron Diaz in there, one of her early roles. Jamie Foxx, for those of you playing at home. Dennis Quaid. Get into it. Yeah, check it out. 1999. You'll all love it. Yeah. Okay. What about MOUZ? I guess is the same thing, right? Like,
it's the same story, right?
It was exciting though. They played 2 exciting series against Vitality. One of them they won, and the more important one they lost.
That was such a high the second game was so fucking high level.
Yeah.
Like, that was insane to watch how different they play when they play each other versus when they play anybody else. Like, obviously it's because they've played 11 series this year or whatever it is now, and they played before that in the groups exactly the same maps, so you know, obviously know everything that they have in the playbook. But like, watching how Apex like approaches Inferno, for example, against the MOUZ versus against everybody else, it's so the starting moves are so different, and it's just like very quick, take this area and instantly pull back, just leave them guessing completely, and all these things. Like, they don't play these mind games with anybody else to the same degree. Like, it was a really, really interesting game to watch.
I'm glad that both of the series were close, because it's a fun matchup now. Like, at the start of the year, there was a couple of them that like were the anomalies, but normally it was like, well, Vitality have got their number, MOUZ are going to shit the bed. But now, like, I really liked Exertion in the semi-final game, like taking moves and going for plays. Like, he wasn't looking scared, and he had some moments where he'd be delivering there. So that's a good sign overall. But yeah, MOUZ, they also maintain the same position as they were in before this event. Okay, let's jump into some of the teams that are, like I said, disqualifying themselves from major contention. Is Spirit cooked? Like, are they fucked?
I have the same feeling with them as we were just talking about Falcons sometimes, because like, there are games where you just have Donk getting the openers, Tenier is going to be doing great work on the sides, Zvej is just being a solid piece, you know, and then you can see why it works. And then one of those pieces doesn't hit, like Donk is not obviously giving you so much space, and like somehow it all falls apart when he dies, and you just don't know what to do in the round. It seems kind of crazy.
But they just look so disconnected to me. Yeah. Like, nothing they do on the ever really feels like it's making sense. Like, they lost a really bad 3v5 I saw. So yeah, it was rough.
Today was really rough to watch, even though it's not about Chengdu, but still, same stuff against Falcons on Nuke. Just Chopper fucking throwing. Chopper made that tweet about like paid Falcons fans in the stands.
Yeah.
How about paid Falcons fans on the server?
In the Spirit
like,
jersey,
what is going on? Bro is like just letting Twistzz just chilling next to him. Then he's not shooting. Then he's not going for a 2v1. He's not doing anything, to be honest. He's also not fragging well, according to Donk. But they're
Donk's
also
stats have been mortal in the last month.
Yeah.
Like Donk's
true.
Donk's starting to look more and more mortal. He had a 1.07 and a 0.75 today. Last time they played, he had a 0.87 and a 1.14 against Falcons. Like, he farmed heroic. He had 2 good maps versus the Mongols and 1 really bad map for his standards. Like,
bring back Zontix. Bring him back. Bring him back. Miroslav needs to be
Magic
jersey.
for vibes.
But that's the thing. Like, it definitely feels that Tanir has brought more smiles and maybe a bit more of a jovial attitude.
That's true.
But the output of the team, right? Like, this is the other thing that I think is surprising and people maybe overlook is they don't actually have that many events together, right? Because of the time delay it took to actually get Tanir on the roster based on a bunch of different circumstances. From when we heard about it, guys, this was fucking Cologne, like post Cologne, right?
Yep.
Like not post Malone, post Cologne. I'm pretty sure we started hearing about it then, and then it dragged on.
I already heard about it during the break. I mean, that it was in the works, so...
But this is the thing. By the time that it actually happened, like EWC went by, they were like, oh, but he'll be in for London. No, he won't be in for London because like visa issues or whatever. So then Tanir still wasn't in for London. They've played EPL, Chengdu, and now they're playing Rivals. And EPL was a month ago. Like, so with this in mind, it's not like they've lacked practice time. They've lacked official game time in the server, but they've played 21 maps together. But it just doesn't look... It looks wrong. Like nothing makes sense at the moment.
They used to make like all the semis, all the finals. They've literally not made a semi in the last 4 events. Sorry.
But that's the thing. They won 2 events this season. Like they probably still will be like second best team of the year. Probably, right? I'm just trying to.
So Furia is making a case.
The problem is like with MOUZ, the early days they were all making all the finals and blah blah blah. It's kind of going to be somewhere up.
Yeah,
I mean, I think the number 2 is very
Spirit.
difficult now. Yeah,
right now, the obviously Vitality number 1, trophies are with Spirit. You could have argued second place between Spirit / MOUZ, but I would have gone with Spirit because of the trophies.
I mean, they have Cologne and they have
Bounty.
The 2 bounties even.
Yeah. They have something else. They have a Starner in there as well.
Yeah. That's
so. But Furia with this last ditch, depending on what happens at the major, like they're now in a top 5 conversation of teams of the year, right? Furia like are starting to, so if they have a strong result here and a strong result the next one, you know, they could propel themselves into that top 3 convo. Obviously no one's taking away the top spot from Vitality. That's without a doubt. But yes, Spirit are like, it's not working. They tried to build the dream team and it's a nightmare at the moment. So and then all the focus is on the T sides. Well, you know, there's players in positions like today's 3v5 that they lost on Nuke. You could see the way the round was set up, and then it's like, okay, well, this guy dies squeaky. I think it was Zvej. He dies on the fate of the smoke. So then Tanir goes to search ramp, and as Tanir's searching ramp, there's just a player waiting ramp, right? So that the setup was, and then he dies, and then it's like, well, now we're in a 3v3, and Zvej getting info and Tanir getting info now means nothing, and now we're back to fucking square one. It's like usually what's meant to happen, you're meant to be able to react off of those things, and they can't. There's no reaction.
There's no point in getting info if you can't do anything with the info, and just turns to be like, oh, I guess another guy is going to take a 1v1, not even taking a 1v, just walking in somewhere into his death. Like, it's what even are you watching?
I think in that part of the world they call like those players like that when it's happening, they call them wards, right? Because they're just getting info. Yeah, they're just getting info. They're not doing anything. They're just getting info, right? They look out of sorts. And the thing is, they
cross reference their SPUNJ for somebody who doesn't watch any other games.
When the international's on, I'll watch it. All right, I don't mind the darts from that perspective. They've another thing that seems crazy as well is they've only had to play 5 maps. So they haven't had to show the 6th map of their map pool. So that's something to keep in mind. They played Ancient, Dust 2, Mirage, Overpass, Nuke. They don't play Inferno, right? So, and everyone at home can put the maths together. They can work it out that there's been no train. So yeah, Spirit's another one that the Navi, jeez, they beat MongolZ, right, in the opening round. Am I remembering correctly?
No, they bombed.
They bombed. Was it 0-2?
They finished last.
Them and FaZe both bombed.
That's right, because I had high hopes because of that side of the bracket. I thought they might be able to do something after the TWC form, but it was shit. You're right. It was dog shit. They lost to.
I don't actually remember if I watched either of those games.
Right. Oh, we didn't talk about Astralis.
How this Astralis is making playoffs is beyond me.
Yeah, but the group was shit, man. Like, look at that group. MongolZ
they
without
just
Senzu.
shouldn't have beat Navi. That was the big one, yeah.
Yeah, MongolZ without Senzu, Heroic, Astralis, Navi, Tyloo, Falcons, Pain, Spirit. So of that, all the teams to talk about of any notoriety was Falcons plus then 3 teams from Group B, FURIA, MOUZ, Vitality. Kind of a fair G2 conversation because of the whole situation for Hunter on the final day. And even in the first game that Hunter played on that day, he was at the bottom of the scoreboard. Like, they just got past VP. He had a tough outing on that day, so he must have been really unwell. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have faith in Navi, FaZe. Spirit obviously different because Donk and Shiro can get the job done if they're on their A game. I hate having to say that, but it's the fact. Yeah, FaZe are looking worse and worse. So yeah, and you can't have Rain anymore. He's going to
want to do a quick stock check.
Yeah, let's do it.
And then tie it up pretty much for the show.
Yeah,
because I'm curious. We did some trading last episode while you weren't here.
Okay.
I'm not sure where we left it off. I don't know. Do we need
Some
the
people
link for
very
you,
happy.
Lucas?
They didn't understand the concept.
Well, that's good. I have HLTV confirmed.
No, I understand how
edited.
MouZ feels every time he does like one of his crazy tier lists that you just look at the list and you're like, how the fuck did he get into this position? And then when you listen to him talk about it, you're actually like, yeah, okay, this is reasonable. That this is people are doing the same things to us now.
But it's good because that's interactions. So people
Exactly.
talking, people are gets
Need to
people
rage
talking.
bait.
That's
Just
all.
need to rage bait.
Yeah, thank you very much, Lucas, for bringing this up.
Okay, I see it. I'm with it. Okay, Game Allegiant stock. Do we even care about Game Allegiant? Why are they on the board?
I don't remember what we were thinking about. Why did we say buy?
I think we were like,
this was after Bucharest.
I don't know, because they bombed Bucharest, right? So we're like, at this price, we would
didn't.
expect them to be better.
They were 4th in Bucharest. They were fine.
They did not bomb.
Okay, well,
I don't remember.
I think it might have been because of PR, because I was just glazing PR to oblivion.
Can't really do anything.
Really doing really well.
Can't really do anything with where they're at now, though, because we didn't see them. So
yeah, we might as well stay.
Well, we're either buying more or we're holding. Either way, we're selling Spirit stock.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's do that.
I feel like you'd have to. I don't know. G2. Yeah.
G2 you can't really move either. It's kind of hard.
Should we invest in Falcons before the major?
Yeah.
Like, did they show us enough that they could be like a contender?
Surely
like,
they're.
I still believe.
Yeah, they're a contender. It's all going to come down to the bracket.
I still believe they could win the major despite all of the problems that they have and issues that we've seen.
I agree.
Navi and FaZe, we need to sell.
We need to sell them. Yep.
Yeah. We fucked up on those.
Are we buying Astralis stock?
No.
But they made the playoffs.
You can say hold. You could say hold. You can put them in hold. I'm not buying any Astralis stock, bro.
What about MOUZ stock? They had 2 really entertaining series against Vitality.
Hold, same place. Hold.
You wouldn't buy
place.
MOUZ?
No.
They could also win the major on any given Sunday.
Yeah, but you can't make your investment choices based on hope.
Okay. Well, sad, but also true. Tyloo, definitely not. I'm still selling MongolZ stock. I know people are trying to pretend to be high on them, but I
Why did we do Pain on stealth and self still? They were kind of looking a bit better.
I don't care about Pain.
I don't either, but
I think this is fine. This is fine, honestly, for this episode. I don't really.
Well, after this, right now, then we can start getting into actual like conversations about who we think is going to win, and I think it's going to come down to the bracket a lot, so you can explain why or what conditions will be necessary. But yeah, I think with the major essentially around the corner, obviously we need to conclude this.
Sell? I don't know why we. How did we?
I think they're burnt out. I watched the bit, bro. I watched the bit when you were talking about them. I agree. I think they're burnt out.
I think if this is all about that, we're cashing out after the major, so it doesn't really matter what happens now. It only matters where we end up.
I still think they're going to be bad.
Really?
There's enough time. There's enough time. You have like 2 weeks, 3 weeks off, 4 weeks, 3.
They're stage 2,
weeks.
so they have
3 weeks.
I just think a lot of their success came off of the huge peak on Inferno all of a sudden, and I think they've been figured out now.
I think they just run out of juice. They're going to go back to the lab. They're going to come up with some other.
Part of it too. Yeah.
They play, you were highlighting a striker. I was trying to talk about during the cast. They're playing so many events. This season has been insane for them. You understand it from where they're at as an org and a team, but still, it's been fucking nuts. Like they play so many events. Like, I wonder if
there's enough time for them to reset from that. I mean, it's still kind of a lot of time, but it was an insane schedule. Like you're kind of maybe set up your season the wrong way to be able to peak at by the time the major comes.
Yeah, but there's still so many other teams that if I match them up against, I would say they'd beat.
That's fair. Okay, fuck it, hold them.
All right, cool. We can jump off that.
We can buy 3D Max stock. Let's go.
So told you into love of the French. We get into the final bit.
I actually really like this was the first time that I actually cared about this team after a long time. That's the problem. Like I care too much now.
Yeah, no, it's fair. But then that's when they disappoint you, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, finally, we have talked about a little bit of Blast Rivals Hong Kong is going on. This is a format where you win one game in the groups and you're in the playoffs. It's really amusing from that perspective. It's a great format.
We're all fans.
Yeah, there's 8 teams and there's frequent flyer points on the line, so that's why you'd want to go there if you're a big team. I think Vitality they're going to play against FURIA again tomorrow. So they already have a rematch that'll be in the best of 3. We'll see. I don't think Ancient will be picked. It's likely to be floated. You know, it would be hilarious if they both float at first phase and then Vitality pick it. Like then the Mezzy situation about taking the chances. Then I'll be agreeing with that sentiment, Prof. On the other side of things, Passion UA versus Falcons for that upper bracket final to decide the semis from that group. The loser games, so elimination games, teams that the fans in Hong Kong wouldn't be seeing come the Friday would be loser of the MongolZ Spirit, and there's also Pain versus Tai Lu. So those are the matches going down. It's broken up into 2 groups, GSL groups, and that's the way she goes. But it's not really GSL groups because 3 teams make it through from each group, right? I guess it still is. Anyway, that's semantics. Doesn't really matter. People can check that out. It starts early in the morning, same time zone as we were in Chengdu. It's GMT +8, and you can all get into that. But are we going to get into the crossover? So we're sponsored by Refrag here. Refrag is also sponsoring the Blast Premier Rivals event going on. So if people have codes or want to get codes or want to use Refrag, the Blast are actually doing this integration with Refrag where like the round of the day, I think I want to make sure I'm getting the vernacular correct, but it's basically highlights of the day you're able to play against. Oh yeah, you want me to jump into it? Okay.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Oh, Luke's
what are you doing?
Okay.
You're playing?
I understand. Yeah. It should be better this way because I'll have too much loss of quality. But yeah, for people who want to do it, if you have Refrag codes or you have Refrag, you on the dashboard you hit that and you see if you just scroll down a little bit, Blast Premier Rivals says put your skills to test by stepping into their shoes in these highlights, and then the highlights are going to be populated each and every day, and then you can play against said highlights. Which one of the features when they had this in CSGO I really liked playing against was I think they called it Restrat. And I believe that they are going to try and also reintegrate Restrat. This is kind of in that direction. So if you're you want to see what it's like to play against a pro team's execute on a map. For a pro team, what you do is you would run the execute to see where the gaps are. What doesn't get flashed? Where doesn't the molly spread? Is there a gap in this smoke that you can exploit? Is there a timing, right? If you push, you can ruin their spacing. But if you want to see what it's like to play against a pro team execute and understand how you're being bombarded with utility and how good the flashing is and everything, this is fun from that angle too. So yeah, you can see the highlight and then you can jump in the server and you can play against it. This is Spirit versus Falcons. It's a highlight of Shiro. He's I touched it on it before. He's playing from here it is. You can see it. You guys can see it. So this is the replay of his POV, or is it someone?
This is his POV.
Yeah. So this is them coming up the round. There's just a little bit of util that's thrown there. Oh, there's more. It keeps going. I didn't even get past the first one before. So okay. So yeah, fair enough. You guys, is this you, Lucas?
Yes, this is me.
Oh, so that's a pre-recorded video, isn't it?
No, this is me.
Oh shit!
Bro did this. No way, he just nailed it first time. I was watching Pimp get fucking owned on his own platform.
To be fair, let me just relaunch this, because there's the difficulty when you launch it, and when it's smart, it's like
bad
on me, and this is like pro level now. But I'm not gonna get through this.
Okay. Yeah. So they have it so that the bots can be tweaked to different difficulty levels and stuff. And there's some of the other game modes that if people are interested in, it also has ELO base. So let's say you're struggling with a X-Fire or a Crossfire Defender or something like that, the ELO will start tweaking to your needs, so you won't just always be flashed or naded or instantly dead. So there's lots of cool stuff that you can do with Refrag, and I recommend if people can get their hands on code.
It's much more fun watching Lucas getting owned, I have to say.
Than getting owned yourself?
Than
watching him owning people.
Yes,
okay, yeah, fair enough. The other thing I will say is if Vitality and FURIA plan on playing Ancient again, they should use Refrag to go look at the util, because they'll be able to just learn from the database on there up the nade. So hopefully they're not missing any red or elbow smokes from there. But yeah,
I'm interested. I guess the 2v5 that Vitality played against Tyloo that they won, they probably can't do a 2v5. It has to be 1v something.
They probably could, but I would imagine for what they're putting out here, it would only be a 1v something.
Yeah,
right? But when they had restrat, you were able to do whatever type of scenarios, because you could determine where the spawns were, or you could just go to those places when you would play against the execute, and you could see what it was like. I remember we did some content during EPL seasons and stuff on it previously, but I think there's really cool stuff that they have in those tools to either be a fun little experience or a way to learn as a team. So yeah, go check out Refrag, everybody. Okay.
Yeah, we have a code. So yeah, refrag.gg/confirmed 1 week trial for free. You should try it. I was trying to give it to some of my friends. They called me a shill and told me they wouldn't do it. So I guess if you like me more than my actual friends, you'll try it out.
It is actually fun. Like
that's the thing. I was sending it to them because I'm like, this is actually good. They are
this is gonna make you better. Please be better.
Shut the fuck up. I'm not using your stupid code. And that's it. That's how they treat me.
It's a really good tool if you like playing Counter-Strike. If you don't, that's fine. It's all good. All right. So I guess we're at the end of the episode. Started a little bit late. We've gone a little bit over, but all in all, we're about 2 and a bit hours in. We have to work out. You guys got something for next week. I don't know what my schedule is going to look like.
We were talking about, right?
Yeah. So I have to go to London on the 17th, and then I'm filming the next season of The Dispatch, which was that DHL thing.
London.
Yeah, and I don't know what time my days.
It did, guys. Say London.
I don't know. That was supposed to be a British accent.
He gave it a go. So, like, for example, I have to film all day, 18th, 19th, 20th, 21st. I don't know when I'll be done. So
we have a guest lined up. Hopefully,
a talkative guest.
Oh yeah.
Let's say maybe.
Yeah.
Hopefully it gets all confirmed. I think it's going to be fine.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, everyone look out for that on the 18th. We'll see if I'm here or if I'm not. Either way, this has been another episode of HLTV Confirmed. Need to thank our lovely sponsors. Of course, we're streamed live exclusively on Kick, but you can catch it on the YouTube videos, which is probably how most of you are going to be watching this later, as well as Spotify. But shout out to Steak, as well as Skin Club, and of course Refrag that we just went over there, sponsors of the show, helping us keep the lights on week in, week out. We'll be back with more Counter-Strike conversations in future weeks. Don't go too far. I'll see everybody next time. Good night, good afternoon, good morning, goodbye.
They say victory belongs to 5 on stage, but it's never just 5. It's every heartbeat in the crowd, every cheer that shakes the stage, every flick, every clutch, written together. On stage or in the crowd, we are one. Skin Club, together as one.
Ever wanted to try Refrag? Well, now you can. For the viewers of HLTV Confirmed, you can claim a 1-week free trial for the world's best CS2 training platform, letting you try out all of our features, like the Refrag Coach, which will analyze your games and give you a personalized training plan. You can also try out Challenger, an all-new game mode, which will test your retake abilities in realistic in-game scenarios. Try Refrag today for free using the link in the description.
You're a CS player and you won a major. It's not something people can take away from you, you know?
No matter what would have happened in that tournament, I'm glad I got benched.
It's just hard, you know, like when I look back at this image, all I see is that I failed.
When Device decided to quit the team, that was like the nail in the coffin.
Okay, this is where I want to be, this is where my place should be.
You know, if I could trade in all the trophies to just have my father back, that would be a fair trade.